Welcome to another riveting story time from my compendium of social ineptitude. Today's story takes place during high school when I thought breakdancing was the dopest shit. I used to think breakdancers were society's alpha males that couldn't walk 5 steps in public without falling penis first into a consenting vagina. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to learn to be a b-boy, an ultimate breakdancing Chad to impress girls. Keep in mind, this was about a decade ago, so there was movies coming out that focused on breakdancing and how cool it was. The one that had the biggest impact on me was called You Got Served. That movie was like my eye of the tiger. I would throw that shit on religiously to get myself pumped up and motivated, start pumping testosterone into my dick like, yeah, alright, I'll start serving people soon, I can do this. So I'd watch a shitload of shitty Expert Village tutorials on breakdancing till I got to a point where I was like, I'm confident, I can do this in front of people now and it'll be really cool. Spoiler alert, I was never actually good at it and it was never cool, but that didn't stop me. Every single school dance function from probably freshman year of high school to senior year of high school, I would be that fucking sociopath on the dance floor during the first song busting it wide open. You know, like at all the dances like homecoming and shit, the first song nobody's on the dance floor because it's not cool? Well, I'd fucking cherish that moment. I would charge that dance floor like a football team storming the stadium field. I was all about that first song life. And this was during the time where the jerk was popular. Well, not really, it was kind of on its way out anyway, but I was still trying to hold on to that glory of the jerk. So I had this little routine that I would do at every dance function, every single fucking one of them. And unfortunately, I still remember kind of the beginning of it, so I'm going to give you a little sneak preview of what it looked like. Right now, breakdancing. I know, ladies, just leave your sodden panties in the dirty clothes and wash them later. What you just saw right there, what you just bore witness to, was a body wave into a 6-step combination, a little groundwork that I tossed in there for flair, then the jerk tacked on at the end. A combination move only fit for the most elite b-boy gods out there. Now at the time, this was 10 years ago, I was far more limber so I could go from the kneeling position to the standing position without fucking blowing up my meniscus. Now is a different story, I can't exactly do it as well as I did back then, but in a nutshell, that's kind of what it looked like back then too, honestly. And let me tell you, it wasn't cool. I don't think that routine I came up with will ever be cool. If I'm wrong, please, some b-boys out there, make it better and send it to me. I'd love to see how that could possibly be improved, because in my eyes, that's as good as breakdancing gets. And they didn't appreciate it. So my high school just didn't really have a taste for the finer breakdancing things, because no girls ever thought that was cool, surprisingly. And let's fast forward, so I do that at all the dances. It never really got me anywhere or anything, and I never changed the routine. That was about the extent of it. That was my breakdancing prowess on full display. That was me sailing at full mast, full erection, red alert, and nobody gave a shit. It wasn't cool to them, and it clearly just objectively is not a very good routine. But let's fast forward to senior year. I'm still doing that routine, and I finally worked up the courage to ask a girl for her number, and she humored me by actually giving it to me. She was clearly not interested, but that didn't stop good old b-boy Charlie from trying. So in order to try and get her genuinely interested in at least like kissing me on the cheek or asking me to tie her shoes or something romantic like that, I would send her videos of me doing routines like that. But I didn't have any friends to videotape that because no one was that close to me. In fact, I don't think any of my friends would do that now because it's just embarrassing. So what I would do is I would have my dad take videos of me doing breakdancing like you just saw, except by senior year I was a little bit better. So I was able to do like kind of head spins. I couldn't do like a head spin without supporting myself with my hands. So I could kind of just like walk my head around very slowly. And I would have my dad videotape that. It'd be like a 2-minute video of me just walking my head around slowly like that on the floor. And I would send her that. And she was such a fucking sweetheart. She would send me things like, "That's so cool," or "Rad." Just, man, it was pathetic. Genuinely pathetic. So I'd continue to do this. And then she stopped replying. That's how that story ends. So, in a nutshell, I still think, power moves and breakdancing are cool as shit. I can't do them. My body just wasn't made for that type of activity. But I respect the men who can, and I still think that's cool. But the lesson here is, If you're not good at breakdancing, don't try. Don't use it to impress people. Definitely don't do it at parties or at bars or at school dance functions or anything. Just keep it to yourself. And definitely don't have your father videotape them, because that's equally as embarrassing. And trust me, I wasn't shy about telling her who videotaped that. I said, look at what my dad just filmed me doing, like it was some type of candid photo shoot or shot. So, the lesson here, just, don't be a fucking idiot, I guess. There's really no lesson here. I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are trying to breakdance to impress girls in 2018. Now it's all about your Fortnite wins. But even if there is still that splinter cell of dudes out there that are blood, sweat, and tears pouring cum into the breakdance art, make sure you're really good at it before you show anyone that shit. Trust me. It'll save you a lot of embarrassment. See ya. Anime is a word that inspires confusion, fear, and boners. On the surface, it's just another form of entertainment, but what it actually is a weapon. And like all weapons, there's the potential for misuse. This is the story of how I misused anime in my first year of college, and potentially led the entire student body to believe that I was some type of fucking lunatic who was one bad Naruto episode away from crashing his car into the side of the on-campus gym. It all started in high school. I was pretty reclusive, I didn't go out much, but I did watch a lot of anime, and it taught me two very important lessons. The first being, the power of friendship is the strongest force in the universe that not even God himself can compete with. Friendship probably led to the Big Bang creating our fucking universe. The second lesson being, the mysterious guy is always the coolest guy that big-titted girls want to fuck, and smaller-titted girls want to fuck. And I really took that lesson to heart, and I super shouldn't have. Absolutely not. But I did. And what happened is, as I graduated high school, I realized that college was my chance to really reinvent myself and change what people think about me, my perception, because no one knows about me. In high school, everyone knew me because I went to a small school, so I couldn't exactly just kick down the door one day sporting a leather jacket and riding a Harley Davidson and have everyone think I was super cool all of a sudden. They'd probably just think I was possessed by the spirit of a 40-year-old father going through his midlife crisis. But in college, nobody knew me, so I could be anything I wanted to be. And man, I wanted to be the anime mysterious guy. And holy shit did it lead to a very embarrassing and lonely first year of my college. So my college anime opened up with an incredible season opener, just a beautiful introduction. On move-in day, the literal first time setting foot in college soil, being an adult, a full-grown, full-hairy, penised adult on a college campus. On move-in day, I had my dad helping me. And going to my dorm, moving in the elevator, there was a girl and her father who were moving in. They're on the same floor, and my dad was talking to her dad and her a little bit. I didn't say a word. I was too cool to say a word. My dad tried to throw me into the conversation. So he asked me a real softball question that even a toddler could fumble his way through. I don't remember exactly what he asked me, but it was something like, "Oh, are you excited to move into this dorm, Charlie?" And I'll never forget my response because I remember this verbatim. I said, I can't talk about that, Dad." I don't know why I said that. I guess in my head I thought that she would think that was super fucking dope, like I was some type of super secret agent that can't talk about his opinions. But really it just came across like, wow, this is a guy that I should be afraid of. But at the time, it didn't register with me like that was a weird thing to say. I went through the rest of that day being really proud of that, like, damn, fucking nailed it in the elevator. College is gonna be great. I just expected, like, if we saw each other in the hallway, she'd just be overcome with ecstasy and just charge me like, "Charlie's son," and then give me a smooch on my smoochers. But in reality, as you can imagine, that never happened. And that was really just setting the tone for the rest of that entire year for me. I wanted to, and luckily Kaya talked me out of it, I wanted to put an Xbox disc of Psychonauts around a chain on my neck, so that way people would know that I like Psychonauts. It's not exactly mysterious because I'm kind of beating you on the urethra with, I like this, I'm clearly wearing it. But I was like, this is so different. This is totally what an anime guy would do, like the mysterious guy. Another thing that I wanted to do, and Kaya again talked me out of it, he really saved me from having an even more catastrophic freshman year of college, is I wanted to carry around a deck of cards and do magic tricks at house parties or just around campus to really make people be like, damn, that was cool. I need that guy's number. Who was that guy? That guy's super cool. Let's invite the magic deck guy back, the magic card trick guy. That super awesome and fun guy. I didn't end up doing that, but I did used to do some magic tricks at house parties, which is still embarrassing, but the cards were already there. I didn't bring them or like come up to people, "Hey, you want to see a fucking magic trick?" They were at least there. It made sense at the time. But bringing them around like a mysterious guy, keeping them in like a Ziploc bag, there was no coming back from that. If I went down that destructive path, I'd probably be behind bars right now just from scaring the general populace. Like, what is this guy up to with this deck of cards? This is a maniac. Get him off the streets, this menace. But now let's talk about the things that the social savior Kaya wasn't able to prevent me from doing. One of the biggest ones that I can remember is I used to go to clubs because I obviously wasn't really getting invited to house parties, because who's going to want to invite the guy who doesn't talk because he thinks it's cool not to? Like, I would blatantly just avoid answering questions in class. If I got called on, I'd just blow it off like, oh yeah. I wouldn't even give like a yes or a no. I wouldn't be like no, I don't know the answer. I wouldn't even give the answer. I'd just be like, oh yeah. Just like fucking mumble it out like I was fucking overdosing on Xanax. So obviously no one was going to come out of their way to invite me to a house party. No one got to know me my freshman year. So I would go to clubs by myself. And one time, it was New Year's, and I had these light up New Year's glasses. And they were some pretty fucking cool glasses, not going to lie. And I was wearing them around my neck because they were so bright I couldn't really see. I was basically just flashbanging myself when I was wearing them normally with the lights going on and shit. So I had them around my neck. And this girl came up to me and started talking to me about them. And instead of like answering any of your questions, I was playing it the same way I did everything else. I just didn't say a word. She said something about my glasses, but she fucked up and called them a necklace. She said something like, I like your necklace. That's a cool necklace. They're glasses. How dare you fuck that up? But anyway, I just disregarded it and I stared at her blankly. Like a fucking robot whose programming just malfunctioned, or I just fell asleep standing up. But she kept trying to get me to talk to her, get me to open up. That goddamn hero, that trooper, she just kept really trying to pry me open, but it just wasn't happening. Getting me to talk and not be mysterious in my freshman year of college would be like trying to open up a dumpster and not have a wave of shit hit your nostrils. But she kept trying. She pulled out her shirt saying, do you like my shirt? And it said something like, short girls know how to have fun, or something like that, or something to that extent. And I glanced at it, and then I immediately went back to staring at her without commenting on the shirt or even saying a word. I didn't make a noise. I didn't even make like a caveman grunt, like a Tim Allen. I didn't do anything. I didn't make a single audible noise. So I was basically just a fucking statue there. She tried again. She said something else about my necklace, and this time it must have just struck a chord, because I remember I pulled them off of my neck slowly and I put them on my eyes, and then I flicked them on the next setting, which was like this intense, glowing, like strobe light shit, like some blinding, banging strobe light shit. And then she walked away. I still didn't say anything because I just put them on my eyes and then turned that setting on and kept staring at her. So I don't blame her for walking away. And that was really when it hit me, like, you know, maybe being the mysterious weirdo isn't going to pay off. But I still committed to it. I still kept going past that. That was New Year's, and we still had another 5 or so months of me being an odd, weird, anime-inspired, mysterious loser. There's really no other big events that really stick out to me. Just a bunch of small stuff that I kept doing throughout the entirety of my freshman year. Like if it was raining and everyone was like, oh fuck, it's raining and I forgot my umbrella, I'm just gonna wait it out. I'd walk right by them, just kind of like wiggle my way through them, and then I'd just walk out in the rain like I didn't give a shit, like I didn't even know it was raining. Like I'd pull out my phone, much to the detriment of my phone, just be like, oh, rain? Too mysterious to feel rain. I really don't know why I ever thought walking out in the rain looking like some kind of dumb asshole would be cool or mysterious, because it doesn't fit either category. But that was another thing I'd partake in almost every time it rained. The only other big event that I can really think of, one that I still think about and it keeps me up at night and really haunts my boners to this day, is when I took an art therapy course towards the second semester of my freshman year. I don't remember exactly what it was. It wasn't art therapy, but it was something similar. It was just an art class basically where you express yourself. And I thought it would be amazingly mysterious and really get girls' panties super fucking wet, just sodden panties being tossed at me. Is every assignment I tried to make it as dark and bland as possible. So one of the assignments being, what do you think of your friends? You were supposed to do one about 12 friends. You make a drawing to represent each friend. And for mine, I did the same thing for all of them. It was a black box. I don't know why I don't know what at all was my thought process with that, but I just did 12 black boxes to represent all of my friends. And when I was supposed to present it, I gave them each a name, and I did name 12 friends. I'm kind of more acquaintances. I didn't really have any like super close friends or anything, but I did name 12 people that I knew and who also knew of my existence. And that just made me seem like I belonged in an insane asylum looking back on it. But at the time I was like, oh, girls love the troubled artist, the mysterious troubled artist. This is beautiful. There's going to be tears in their eyes. I already know it. I'm going to get an A on this project. Spoiler alert, I didn't get an A because she thought I just blew it off and goofed on it, so I got a D because I at least turned something in. But even still, I drew 12 black boxes. That's some shit that you see in a horror movie, like when the weird kid's scribbling shit on paper in a black crayon, and then you find out that the kid's actually a demon. That's that kind of shit that I presented to the class, and there's no doubt in my mind those students walked away deeply disturbed and afraid of me from that moment on. So, that's how I spent the entire first year of my college experience, emulating the anime mysterious guy. It wasn't until I moved out of my dorm and in with a new group of guys who put the kibosh on that shit and taught me how to be social, because they did not want to be living with some fucking weirdo that's trying to be an anime mysterious guy. So that's kind of that's how my first year of college went. The lesson to take away from this is don't emulate what you see on anime, because it's just not gonna fucking work unless you have some like superpowers that you might like, some really fucking cool superpowers. You might be able to get away with being weirdly mysterious, but I didn't. The only superpower I had was being below average male height. But if you have some cool superpowered shit, maybe you can emulate anime to some extent and still be cool, but I couldn't. But I wouldn't recommend it to most people, the non-superpowered people out there. To the people that aren't X-Men, don't try and be an anime mysterious guy. Don't be weird. That's it. See ya. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. For years, I've gotten emails asking me to tell more stories, so that's what I'm gonna do tonight. Cozy on up, pop a squat down by the fireplace, and listen to my nipples. Ashamedly, this tale isn't that old. It happened last year. After my long-term relationship ended, I had devolved into a socially inept husk. I had completely forgotten how to flirt or talk to females in a romantic way. It was bad. Every time I even tried to talk to a girl, I sounded like a troglodyte ODing on sleeping pills, and God forbid a girl ever made the mistake of starting a conversation with me. They would soon find out that I was fundamentally fluent in aphasia. The shit that was coming out of my mouth was just unintelligible. It was downright disrespectful to humanity how bad I was at flirting. But there's one night in particular that I still lose sleep over when I think back on. One event that to this day, when I'm about to ejaculate, makes my penis tingle in an unpleasant way. It was the very first weekend after my breakup, and I was going to a bar with my friends. I was going out with the intent of just drinking and having a good time and not worrying about anything. But my friend's sister insisted she wingman me that night, and I knew deep down in my soul that it would be a fucking train wreck. The night was darker than usual, the moon tucked away behind the clouds as if trying to cover its eyes and shield itself from the awkwardness that was about to unfold at this poor little bar. As if the moon knew just how shitty this experiment was going to turn out. But anyways, in my friend's sister's defense, she was an outstanding wingman, but the odds were stacked against her because she was trying to wingman a fucking sinking ship of social skills. So she was taking me to meet everyone at the bar. We met a ton of people. She was just dragging me along like I was her suitcase, except this suitcase wasn't filled with clothes or toiletries, it was just filled with awkwardness. And nothing too noteworthy happened. I managed to meet all of these new people without shitting my britches, which was a Herculean task, so that's an accomplishment that I'm very proud of. But then the very last two people we met will forever be etched into my memory. It was two attractive women, just casually drinking at one of the tables by the bar, as the bar was clearing out since it was getting late. The weatherman may have predicted cloudy with moderate humidity, but what he couldn't predict, what no one could have predicted, was the storm of awkwardness that was about to befall the area. My friend approached them the same as she had all the others, and as I trailed behind her, I could feel something deep inside of me pulling me, as if a future version of myself was trying to yank me away from the situation so I wouldn't have this memory. But alas, I disregarded the feeling and continued forward, each step towards their table, a new scar that I bear. We make it to the table. Small talk begins. Names are exchanged. I instantly forget both of their names, but I remember how I introduced myself to them. I extended my hand for a handshake like I'm conducting a fucking business meeting. Oh yes, ladies, I'll need the stock reports on my desk, 8 a.m. sharp. But the worst part of this gesture is when they do oblige my handshake, I kung fu grip them. I grab their hands hard as shit. It's like that scene in The Predator Where Arnold Schwarzenegger and Carl Weathers get in the handshaking competition? Oh, they got you pushing too many pencils. Well, I was pushing too much awkwardness right from the get-go. So yeah, suboptimal start, bit of a rocky beginning. Chalk that one up to nerves though, you know, that's excusable. So my friend's sister starts distracting one of the girls. Oh, do you go to UT too? What sorority are you in? This and that. Working under the assumption that I am not a bumbling goober and can handle a one-on-one conversation with the other girl. Rookie mistake. I absolutely could not handle that in any capacity. It was abysmal. I have no doubt. I can say with confidence that it is the worst conversation she had ever been a part of, and probably to this day is still the worst conversation she has ever been a part of. With each sentence that I diarrheaed out, I could feel it getting more and more uncomfortable for the both of us. So, do you like alcohol? I mean, it's a good beverage. Envelope adhesives, how do they keep those damn things together? You know, some strong shit. Oh, some nice shoes. I like shoes. I wear shoes sometimes, too. I don't wear shoes when I sleep, though. I take shoes off when I sleep. I'm not weird. I don't take the shoes. It was fucking miserable. And this continues for about 15 or 20 minutes. I don't know how she resisted the urge to just puke in my face, but she just let me keep going. I'm just over here hooting and hollering about our universe being a simulation or some shit. And then eventually she gets so bored, and I'm confused because I'm having a conversation with myself in my head, and I'm having one with her. So I was just, by the end of it, I didn't know if I was talking to myself or talking to her. It was just a weird situation altogether. But she gets so bored, and she puts the kibosh on it. She says, "Look, I've been having a shit week, and I just want to go home with a guy tonight, okay?" And then she puts her hand on my hand. And then I looked her in the eyes. We locked eyes for a minute. And I said to her, "Well, you're gonna have to hurry up because the bar's clearing out. I wish you the best of luck finding a guy, but if you don't find one, I'll eat your pussy for a little bit if you want." That is verbatim what I said to her in response to that. I could never forget those words. They're burned into my brain. The second those escaped my mouth, I became sober. I was inebriated going into it. I said that, and then I could have flown a fucking plane at that point. I could feel my asshole pucker. My anus was becoming the universe. It was like every cell in my body was being bludgeoned by a cactus. For me, this was proof that whatever higher power or creator exists, they truly don't care about this world. Because if they did, they would have sent a fucking wild ice cream truck to take me out right then and there. And the look on her face, I will never forget it. It was a look of pure shock, confusion, and anger. Every emotion a human is capable of feeling, she felt in that moment. And then she pretended to get a phone call so she had an excuse to leave. That makes her a good person in my book, because what she should have done is say, "Hey, get the fuck away from me, you creepy homunculus," or something to that effect, because that's what I deserved. She was nice enough to actually make it seem like she just had something else to do instead of just telling me to fuck off, which she absolutely had a right to do because she had just put up with my ranting and raving for 20 minutes, and then I basically just rejected her to her face with my last little humdinger there. So to me, that woman is a hero. Now to make matters even worse though, my friend's sister and the girl's friend heard what I said. It's like the music in the bar just cut out and everyone stopped talking right before I uttered those words. But luckily, she never mentioned it because I'm assuming she erased it from her memory immediately after, so that way she would spare her mind the anguish of trying to comprehend what the fuck I was thinking when I said that. But yeah, so that's the story. It was by far the most uncomfortable situation I'd ever been a part of and created. I mean, I did both. I was both the participant and the orchestrator. So it was weird. But yeah, that's the story. That's it. So yeah. Occasionally during my live streams, people bring up Miami because I'm in Florida and everyone knows Miami, so they always want to know, have I been there? Do I like Miami? And I made it very clear that I have a very palpable disdain for that city, if you can even call it a city. I call it a scam. I almost just don't even believe in Miami. It's kind of like the fucking Tooth Fairy to me. If the Tooth Fairy was a huge asshole whose only purpose was to bite your nipples off while you were asleep, I really do hate Miami. So let's get really into the meat and semen of why I hate Miami. I've only been one time. It was my junior year of college, and my friends and I went for spring break. We were going to celebrate it there, just go fucking wild. Yeah, Miami Beach party. Oh, tits all over the place. Look at all that ass, and look at all these beers and alcohols. And that was the plan. But we severely underestimated just how expensive everything in Miami is. We knew it was going to be a bit pricier, but not even Jesus Christ himself could have convinced us it'd be as expensive as it turned out to be. There was only one thing in all of Miami we could afford, and that was the hotel, because we all pooled our money together to be able to afford that. Past that, we were left to die. The people in Miami wouldn't piss in your mouth if you were dying of thirst unless you had $1,000 to pay them for it. The prices there are out fucking rageous. We couldn't be left alone. We couldn't buy anything alone. We had to stay in a group and start budgeting our money. Hey man, look, I just ran out of soap and I need to get some at Walgreens. Can you spot me $50 so I can at least get halfway there and I'll cover the other 50? Because you can't afford anything. We couldn't buy a pack of almonds on our own without coming together as a group and budgeting that purchase. It's fucking insane how expensive everything there is. Let's go ahead and start from day one because it hit us immediately when we got there. We planned the trip for 4 days. We stayed all 4 days, but on the first day we knew we were in for a rude awakening. So day one we were already, ready to rock and roll, ready for partying. Hey, it's spring break. It's time to go nuts to butts. Let's fucking hit it and shit it. So we got a taxi, which was extremely expensive, got stuck in Miami traffic for an hour, and then made it to this area where all the bars are. I can't even remember what it's called, but there's a bar there that's like the Frankliner or maybe like the Frankie Doolittle or something. I don't remember, but it's a big bar there, and we paid $20 to get in, which is huge for us because in Tampa, it's free entry if you're over 21, so paying $20 just to get in, that was a real slap to the urethra, but we did it anyway because spring break, baby, woo! Shirt over your head and everything, about ready to go wild. And we made the mistake of ordering shots right upon getting there. Shots of Fireball, because in Tampa, a shot of Fireball is $3, and I'll never forget what it is in Miami at the Frankie Muniz Hotel or whatever. $18. $18 for a shot of Fireball. Fireball is the shittiest alcohol you can get in a shot, and it was $18 there. It was insulting. So after taking that shot, needless to say, it was basically like swallowing all of our money at the same time. We were already running out of money just from our first bar visit and first round of drinks. If I wanted to take that shot glass and dunk it into their pool, I'd probably have to pay $10 for their chlorinated pool water with pee all in it. It's unreal, the prices there. But it wasn't all lost upon going to that bar because there was a homeless man, probably not actually homeless, but he dressed like a homeless man, and he was doing magic tricks, and we got a little private magic show from him. And it was all hat magic, so he'd be doing cool shit with his hat. And his grand finale was he pulled out a baggie of cocaine from his hat. It was really fucking cool, and we all gave him $5 because he fucking earned it like a motherfucker. That man should be going on Penn and Teller's Fool Us, or maybe America's Got Talent. It was a great routine, and he's even got a little something to get the crowd energized. Just start throwing coke out. I could see him being a big magician someday. Hopefully he's doing well. We called it a night right after that because it certainly wasn't getting better than that magic show, and it certainly wasn't getting cheaper. So we went back to the hotel, and we started just drinking all of the alcohol we brought. That was a lot of fun, just 5 guys in the hotel room getting absolutely shit-faced because they couldn't afford to elsewhere. And I got extremely drunk, probably the drunkest I've ever been, and I blacked out. And then the next day, we all planned to go to the beach, but I was so incredibly fucked up that I needed to keep having the taxi driver pull over so I could puke. We finally got to the beach, and I still had to keep puking, but apparently all of the areas on the beach don't really have bathrooms. Miami doesn't believe in bathrooms, so I went to a Walgreens. They don't have a bathroom. I went to the next door business that I don't remember. They didn't have a bathroom. I went to the other business next door, which was probably like a cocaine supplier. I don't really know what it was, but it was a dilapidated little business. They didn't have a bathroom, so I ended up just puking on the road. I just figured, why not? I had nowhere else to go, and I'm sure it's pretty commonplace in Miami. I'm sure I'm about the 5th guy that morning to puke on that road. And I was feeling like shit for the rest of the entire day. The beach was underwhelming. It was just like every other beach in Florida. There was nothing super special about it except for some trivia, like Dexter Season 2 was filmed, or the Dexter intro was filmed on that beach. Who gives a fuck? It was so boring. At least right up until a Category 5 hurricane hit Miami that day. It wasn't an actual hurricane, but there was a goddamn monsoon that blew through and completely annihilated us. Apparently there was a fucking news warning that went out, this is going to be the biggest storm we've had in 10 years. And we weren't listening to the news or anything, so we just went to the beach. There wasn't a whole lot of people there, but I can see why now. And it was just this incredibly disastrous storm that hit, with intense wind that was nearly knocking me over and my friends, and this hardest rain ever. It was like we were getting hit by baseballs. It was so miserable. Walked away bruised and bloody, but undeterred. Our spirits were still as high as they could be, because come that night we were ready to try again. Bars were out of the question because we couldn't afford the drinks, so we thought, how about clubs? So we went to a club. I don't remember the name of it. It might have been Platinum or something to that degree. $300 to get into that club. That's excluding drinks. That's not included. $300 just to go in there. Unbelievable. Needless to say, we all didn't have $300 a person to pay to get into this shit-ass club on the side of the fucking road. So we didn't go to that club. I don't know why it was $300. Maybe Jay-Z, Post Malone, Lil Wayne, and Johnny Cash was revived and they were all playing that night. That might justify $300 to go in there. But we didn't do it, so that was another bust. And then we decided, how about a strip club? Miami's famous for their strip clubs, and we thought maybe King of Diamonds would be fun. But this time we wisened up before paying for the extremely expensive ride to the King of Diamonds or anywhere in Miami. We decided to look up how much it is at King of Diamonds. Way too expensive. In a nutshell, way too expensive. Strippers there probably wouldn't even look at you if you were throwing dollars at them. You'd have to be showering hundreds to even get them to look in your direction. So we didn't go to King of Diamonds or any other strip club either. That was day 2. Day 3, we gave up. Day 3, we took a day to just recoup. We hung out in the hotel. We walked around Miami just at like little mom and pop stores, I enjoyed that. That was kind of fun. We saw a little bit of the city. We went to some stores, couldn't afford anything there because you can't afford anything in Miami. That's the main lesson to take away from the experience. But we went to some little diners and stuff and tried a bunch of different foods that I'd never heard of before, which was kind of nice. But that was day 3. Spring break's really kicking in nice. Day 4, we tried one more time. We went to different bars. The prices were a little bit better than at the Frankie show, the Frankie Way, whatever that bar is. The prices were a little bit better. So we all chipped in and bought a pitcher, which was just kind of the most pathetic drinking experience I've ever had because we were all just defeated. Like, you know what, guys? How much money do we have left? 15 quarters? All right, let's just see if we can haggle a pitcher of beer off of this bar here. And miraculously, we did get a pitcher. And we all just kind of drank away the spring break because it was bad. I would have had more fun spending spring break in a sensory deprivation tank than in Miami. It was an absolutely miserable experience. The worst spring break I've ever had, and definitely the worst spring break I think a college kid could have. We lost pretty much all of the money we brought with us and had nothing to show for it. But it was kind of a good-looking city. It was kind of pretty, and walking around trying a bunch of different foods was kind of fun. I would never recommend anyone ever go to Miami because you just can't afford to. Unless you're taking out a mortgage, taking out some loans or something to be able to afford anything at all there, you're just not going to be able to have any fun. There's also a huge drug problem there. From what I could tell, I don't really keep up with the Miami news or anything. But walking the beach and shit, there are so many people asking you if you want to buy drugs, which was really uncomfortable. But overall, hated Miami. I would never recommend you spend spring break in Miami. Anywhere else. Literally spring break anywhere else. Go to fucking Antarctica, you'll have more fun. I don't really care where you go, but you will not have fun in Miami. That's the gist of it. That's it. See ya. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. This week I've been flooded with an unusual volume of emails pertaining to something I talked about in the past, and usually my emails consist of websites like Habbo Hotel telling me that my son has signed up for an account. I don't have a son. Daily Betty Crocker updates because some sick fuck out there signed me up for a Betty Crocker newsletter, but god damn it if some of those aren't some surprising meals from Betty Crocker, I'll give her that much. So I was a bit shocked this week when I looked past all of the strange newsletters and questions like if my ass was a dog, what would its name be and what breed, to see that I was getting questions about something I talked about in minimal detail a while back. So I figured I'd dive a bit deeper into this tale to give closure to those people that are asking for it. So it would have been about 2 years ago now, maybe a little more than 2 years ago. The story begins as all good tales do. The previous night I was out drinking heavily, and I woke up the next morning with a pretty bad hangover. And as one does when they're faced with a rough hangover and regret from spotty memories from the previous night where you're claiming you're Alexei Vanderwolf, famed bear wrestler from Russia, you get out of bed and you start masturbating to help get over the hangover. I don't understand why it works, but it does. It helps get over the hangover. So I began cleaning the clarinet and I was really in the zone. I threw on my favorite lesbian porn film. It's a threesome called Ménage à Trois. It's on Pornhub if any of you would like to watch it. I believe it's probably the best hangover cure out there right now. And I was really just enjoying it, and I wasn't even considering it a masturbatory task. It was just me, this beautiful video I was watching, and my cock in my hand, Also, as a side note, I like to watch the porn on my phone because you can double tap and zoom in, so you can kind of be your own cameraman, and I like that aspect, because sometimes the camera angles aren't great, so I like the double tap feature. It's not really pertinent to the story at all, but I just thought it's worth throwing in there. And as by the time the video started winding down, and it's a 30+ minute video, and this was an entire 30 minutes of me going at it pretty hard, I was beating my dick like it owed me money, and eventually my dick deployed its cream, and my mission was complete. I ejaculated, in other words. Or if I want to be more hip with lingo, I made cum. So I paused the video, and I closed my eyes and thanked Jesus for what I had just watched on my screen. And then I turned off my phone, and I went to clean up my cock, and my neck was stiff because I was holding it at eye level, and I guess I just hadn't moved very much. I was like a fucking statue just looking at this thing. You probably could have mistaken me for a wax figure, except for the rapid hand movement on my penis. And I very slowly looked down to begin the cleanup process, and I noticed my dick was extremely red. And it was also beginning to swell, because my dick did not have this type of girth. It looked like my dick had been replaced with a head of cauliflower. The skin surrounding the pecker had it inflated so much so it was like someone was trying to make a fucking balloon animal out of it. I immediately was able to recognize that something had gone awry in this masturbatory process. I decided I didn't want to go get it seen right away because that's kind of an embarrassing thing to tell a doctor. Hey, look, I beat my meat so hard that now it looks like I've hurt myself. What do I do? So I decided to wait it out. I gave it like an hour to see if the swelling or the redness would go down, but it just continued to get worse. By the time I did go get it checked out, it looked like a fucking bowling ball down there. That's not really a good comparison, though, because it wasn't like a fucking bowling ball. It didn't turn into a giant ball or anything. It still had like a penis shape, but since it was flaccid, there was more girth than length to it, and it was super swollen. It looked like you could have sucked helium out of it. But anyway, I went to a walk-in clinic because I wanted to get seen right away. And if any of you have been following me for a long time, you know that I'm very much a hypochondriac. That's not an exaggeration. I am genuinely a hypochondriac. So I was freaking out about this. I was worried they're going to have to cut my dick off or something like that. Now when I did get into the waiting room at the walk-in clinic and the nurse was asking me why I'm there and all this such, I wasn't embarrassed. I told them, because there's no reason to be embarrassed. It's important to have shit like that checked out. And the nurse left, and I was already 2 steps ahead of the doctor. I knew they were going to want to see my penis, so I already had my pants around my ankles, basically. I didn't know if I was going to be seen by a male or female, and it didn't matter to me. If it was a female, I definitely wasn't going to be embarrassed, maybe even a little bit proud, because it looked like I was packing heat down there. Albeit probably not the color or shape she'd be used to because it was extremely red and inflamed, and it looked like a fucking UFO, or a soup dish turned over. Eventually the doctor comes in, he examines my wiener, and he immediately asks what happened, and I'm honest with him. I said, look doc, I had a hangover and I gave my chicken a hard choking this morning to try and get over it. And he said, well, it definitely doesn't look good. It looks like it's been injured. I mean, it definitely did look like that. I didn't need a doctor to tell me that. It looked like I'd been hit by a fucking sledgehammer. And he says if it continues to swell and it starts blocking urine, there'll have to be some surgery done on it because that's very dangerous, obviously. So I start freaking out. I'm already kissing my dick goodbye. I'm debating just walking down the wall in the office there and giving myself a blowjob just for one last ooh-rah to send my cock off in style. But he gives me these pills to help with inflammation, and obviously I start taking the pills to try and help with this problem. It was supposed to be taken every 6 hours, and I swear to God, not one fucking millisecond went over 6 hours before I was popping that next one. I wanted to get this problem rectified, so that way I could continue to e-rectify this wood down here. And it did help. It took about 3 or 4 days, and the swelling started to gradually go down, and I was still able to pee-pee. And yeah, it had a happy ending, luckily. But let this be a lesson to all masturbators out there. You know who you are, all 7 billion of you. Be careful when you're masturbating down there. It's a very sensitive area. If you're not paying attention, you might just fuck up your dick or vagina. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe if you just rub your clitoris too hard, you can injure it and it can swell up and look like a head of broccoli like my dick did. But yeah, there's the story. That's it. It's been a little while since I told the story, so I figured it was about time that I sit you all down by the campfire and put some fear in your boners. I'm going to tell you a really recent story, something that I think everyone can take a lesson away from and use it in their everyday lives. So before I really dig into the meat of this, I want to preface this by saying I have not pissed my pants in a very long time. Now that that's off the table, let's get into what the story is about. As you've probably surmised from that intro, it's about pee-peeing in the pants. It's about a time where I flirted with that devil. And this all takes place in the mythical year of 2019 AD on October 4th. It was literally 6 days ago as of recording this video. It was right before going to happy hour, and if you watch my streams at twitch.tv/moistcritical, you know that the streams are fucking bangers, and that I also pee a lot. I drink a lot of water, which means I'm constantly expelling a lot of urine from my body at jet stream-like pace. I really fucking pressure wash my toilet when I get in there to do that business, so if urinating is considered a game of chess, then I'm the goddamn grandmaster. Now, this was right before going to happy hour. I had just gotten all dressed up and spruced up, ready for action, and we needed to pick my friends up before going to the bars we were going to. But before going, I had the little inkling of a pee-pee coming on. It was still brewing, but it hadn't matured yet. So I figured there really wasn't any point to doing that. The bars weren't far, my friends weren't far. I'd just hold it till I got there and then just do my business out there in public. Just kind of to assert my dominance, like, hey, I'm not afraid to mark a urinal with my seal of approval. I'm not afraid to stamp this with my penis juice. So I just wanted to wait. I didn't see the point in going before heading over. That being said, on the journey to my friend's place, it was still very tame, very manageable, barely even noticed it. Got to my friend's place, didn't notice it. The second they got in my car, it's like they unleashed the piss demon. All of a sudden, all at once, it hit me like a fucking brick. Like a train had left the station, a bullet train, and it was hitting my bladder. There was no putting this genie back in the bottle. I was going to tinkle, it was just a matter of where. In my nice trousers, in a dirty bathroom somewhere on the way, or on the side of the road. The last two options weren't exactly options, because to get to the bar you had to go over this pretty long bridge, and there was no way I was going to be able to hold it through the duration of the bridge, so I'd be just trapped like a prisoner in its cell in the car, just urinating all over my friends. Or I'd have to hold it and literally cork my cock, and I'd probably fucking drown internally with urine pouring out of my mouth like I just swallowed a cyanide capsule of urine. It was just a nightmarish situation because I really had to go. So I informed Tiana, who was now driving, and I told my friends, look, I'm sorry to be an inconvenience, but we got to pull over somewhere to go to the bathroom because I'm going to literally ruin our happy hour and turn it into the not so happy hour by coating this entire car in piss. So they understood, but the problem was there really wasn't anywhere to stop. There was no real gas stations on the way to the bridge, so we'd have to go out of our way to find one for me, and my friends didn't really want to do that, so they're trying to encourage me to just go piss somewhere next to a dumpster around some of the dilapidated buildings, because the area on the way to the bar looks like it's been hit by a nuclear missile, but I didn't want to take that chance. Because a friend of mine got put on the sex offenders registry for public urination. He got caught while peeing next to a building, or on the side of a building, and I just didn't want to roll those dice at all. I bet if I had just went down to take a piss by a building, a fucking cop would have popped out of a bush in a ghillie suit and said gotcha on me. I didn't want to, risk that at all. I'd drop trow for 1 second, just unzip, and all of a sudden a police car fucking drift in sideways, just sirens blaring, and then take me down just for public urination, and then all of a sudden, bang, I'm a sex offender. I just didn't want to risk that at all. I didn't want to take that chance at all, so that was not an option for me. We were going to go out of our way to one of the gas stations that I knew of, and it wasn't that far out of the way, so it wasn't a huge inconvenience, but I still felt bad. Unfortunately, the gas stations were of no help, and also the gas stations look like something straight out of the Fallout universe as well. But the first gas station we go to, everything looks okay. There's a bathroom there, which is a plus. It's one of the bathrooms that's on the outside, so you need a key to get into it. So all confidently, while I'm like basically grabbing my cock, just trying to keep everything where it needs to be before I explode with urine, I go in there waddling in and I say to the guy, hey, look, I've got to use your shitter. Can I get the key to that bad boy? And he's not all there. He sounds like he's one Xanax bar away from just total overdose and collapse. So I couldn't understand most of the words he said, but he kept mumbling about the hot dog man. I didn't know what that meant. I thought he was making like idle conversation. Maybe there was a hot dog vendor outside that he wanted me to go buy from before he gave me the key. I didn't know, so I asked him, what are you talking about? The hot dog man? Who's a hot dog man? I love hot dogs, even though I fucking hate hot dogs. Just anything to get that fucking key. Felt like it was a mission in a video game that I needed to get that key to complete the quest. But so I'm making the small talk, and his answers make no sense to me. He's like, no bathroom, hot dog man. So then I'm starting to connect these dots in my head. Okay, so the hot dog man, no bathroom. Hot dog man must have gone in there and wreaked havoc. He must have just fucking tore that bitch down and lit it on fire with an explosion from his ass or something. So this bathroom is decommissioned is what you're telling me, right? Bathroom is not working because of hot dog man. He just shakes his head, no. Hot dog man. I felt like I was in a goddamn horror movie, as if like the hot dog man was terrorizing this area like the fucking Slender Man. I didn't know what he was talking about with the hot dog man. All I knew was I was not getting that key from him. So I walked out all disappointed because I knew I wasn't getting the key, and it's all because of this menace, the hot dog man, who I'd never even fucking heard of in fairy tales. So I had to waddle back to the car disappointedly, and even in more of a rush, the sense of urgency was overwhelming. Felt like the entire universe was collapsing inside on me. Also, as a side, there was no hot dog vendor outside. There wasn't even the remnants of what could have been a hot dog vendor at any point in time. So I don't know who the fuck this hot dog man is. But anyway, we go up another maybe mile up the road where I know another gas station is, and it's just as decrepit as this one, and this one was like a goddamn orgy of weirdos. There was one guy who I am 100% sure was on spice, because he was just fucking fumbling around. Luckily, he had hit just enough spice so he wasn't totally nude and dragging his dick on the floor, but he was at that level of spice where he can't really stand up properly, and he has a football that he's throwing against a wall and hitting himself with in the face off the rebound. So that's the kind of place we were at, looking for this bathroom, and I knew it was going to be gross, and I'm a bit of a germaphobe, but I was throwing that aside because I needed to be strong, because I didn't want to piss myself, because I hadn't pissed myself in at least a long time. I don't know, I was trying to think of like an exact time I pissed myself, but it's been a long fucking time. I have a pretty clean streak there, and I wasn't about to have that collapse on this night. So we get to this disgusting gas station, and it's another one where the bathroom's on the outside, so I need to go in to get the keys. There's a guy in there playing the lottery, and he's taking a long time scratching it off. That's fine, that's not his fault. He doesn't know that I'm about to explode behind him like an IED of urine. So I'm not mad at him at all. He was none the wiser, not his fault or anything. When he's finally done, I go up to the counter, I say, hey man, can I get the keys to that turbo shitter? I gotta go do some business over there. He's super cool about it, gives me the keys, and I'm on my way. The guy who's throwing the football now fixates his eyes on me, and he wants to get me involved in his game. I can tell because while he couldn't really get the words out properly, he was making motions like, I'm gonna hit you with this spiral real quick, Tom Brady style, and I just, I'm putting my hands up like, please, no, thank you, politely, I've got to use the restroom. Finally get around the corner to where the bathrooms are on the side of the place. There's a man asleep on the curb in front of the bathrooms. I don't know if he was passed out or just really tired. Maybe at one point he was the gate guardian of the bathrooms, but now that he found bath salts, now he just sleeps there. I really don't know. But, I go not over him because I was already on the side. I go around him, and then I finally put that key into the bathroom, and a sense of elation and jubilation just fills my whole body as I finally turn it, and I open it, and I'm greeted with the most unholy smell this world has ever concocted. It smelled like a fucking hate crime. It was the most repulsive, revolting smell I've ever smelled in my life, and I've smelled some shit. I've smelled some serious shit, but this was something else. This smelled like the hot dog man had gone there, killed somebody, and then took a shit all over the corpse. And it's really weird because the toilet itself was pristine. The toilet was clean enough to drink out of, eat off of. It was a fantastic looking toilet, not a speck of dirt or poopy in sight. But the bathroom itself was tainted with the remnants of 1,000 angry spirits that were all shitting in unison. It's no doubt the work of the hot dog man. There's not a single doubt in my mind. He must just be like a serial bathroom shitter. Just goes around shitting in all the bathrooms, fucking terrorizing them, ruining them for people that gotta pee like me. But I really don't know. Anyway, the smell was so overwhelming. For just a brief moment, I relaxed my penis sphincter, and a little bit of urine dripped onto my boxers. I don't count that as pissing my pants because it was just enough where it only dribbled out, and I was able to once again voluntarily collapse the muscle so it didn't squeak out anymore as I finally approached the toilet, and I finally released the sweet relief into the toilet, and I finally peed. I couldn't breathe. It was fucking hazardous to my health, no doubt, with all the shit particles floating around in the air, but god damn it, I finally peed. So the lesson to take away from here: just when you feel like even like the smallest amount of pee building inside of you, just piss. It's gonna get worse. You're gonna just need to pee. Don't try and hold it. Don't be a hero like I was, because you might find yourself in a similar situation where you dribble on yourself and you visit a really disgusting smelling bathroom that really just ruins your sense of smell for like a good 2 hours. But anyway, that's the story. The lesson to learn: pee when you feel like you have to, even a little bit. Don't try and hold it, because that is just absolutely devastating and leads to this domino effect of unfortunate circumstances and a lot of stress. That's it. See ya. When I was a young teenager, I had a really weird relationship, and I don't mean with like a creepy uncle or anything like that. I had a weird relationship with masturbation. Now, this will come as a massive surprise to many of you Redditors out there, but when I was a young man, I was extremely religious. I got baptized twice just to make sure the Lord took notice in case he missed the first one. I wanted to make sure he took notice and saw that I got baptized. And this led to a lot of fear, especially when it came to my penis. I was fucking afraid of my wiener. But like all young men, those hormones are pumping and you just gotta slap that skin flute around to show it who the boss is. And when I did masturbate, it was a fucking nightmare. I'd sometimes cry after it because I felt like this sacrilegious act condemned me straight to hell as some kind of unforgivable sin where the devil knew I masturbated and made a special room in hell for me. It was rough. If you listen to the official podcast, I've kind of talked about this a little bit in the past, but I used to ask my parents permission to masturbate and then ask them like a million times if I was still going to heaven if I did. It was bad. It was bad. And the reason why I'm saying this today is because I felt like sharing a story that I just remembered because I was going through some old boner jams. I was looking at old music, and I came across Bullet for My Valentine. Bullet for My Valentine is a metal band, and they used to be my favorite band during this time period, during all this here that I was just talking about, setting the stage. And Bullet for My Valentine made it impossible for me to jerk off. I don't mean like the band themselves. Like the band members didn't come to my house and slap my dick out of my hand every time I was about to jerk off. But I owned one of their posters that I hung on my wall in my room. It was the only poster I ever owned, and the only reason I bought it is because I saw in like old 90s and 2000s movies, the cool kids always had like a ton of fucking band posters and shit, like Misfits and Green Day with the Beating Heart, and I was like, shit. You know, they're kind of cool. I'll try that too. So I went to FYE. I don't know how many of you even remember FYE. That's like the Blockbuster of music. FYE was a place that sold CDs and some DVDs. You could buy one CD and a pack of gum for like $90. That shit was a straight up fucking scam. But I went to FYE and I picked out a Bullet for My Valentine poster. And it wasn't a very cool poster. It wasn't like album cover art or anything like that. It was just a picture of the band members all staring at the camera. So when I hung that on my wall, it looked like those pictures in old cartoons where the eyes would follow you around like some Scooby-Doo shit. It was a kind of fucking weird poster, and it was the only thing on my wall, so I had this white fucking wall. It'd be like this. If I hung that poster right next to the Redline one and the Redline one wasn't there. It was just a completely empty wall with this one poster. It looked like some kind of religious thing where I'd like light candles in front of Bullet My Valentine and pray, hoping to summon their spirit into my house or something. It was fucking goofy. But I thought it would help make me look cooler, so I'd take like some pictures in front of it and post it on MySpace, like, hey, I got a band poster and shit. They're a pretty popular band, people liked them, and to be fair, their music still absolutely slaps. I was listening to The Poison today, and that album still has some absolute bangers on it. So I was like, okay, this was a good idea, this is cool, people think I'm a little cooler now because my room's got Bullet for My Valentine poster in it. But when I wanted to masturbate, I realized a massive problem. I hung the poster in the middle of the wall directly behind me. And my room was very small, so I could reach out and touch it like here. And I had the poster right behind me. Like it was my shadow. And the poster was looking over my shoulder. It was directly behind me. It was like Bullet for My Valentine was always staring at whatever the fuck I was doing on the computer at this time. And I didn't realize how intrusive that would be when it comes to masturbation. Like, you know when the screen goes black on your phone or computer when you're watching porn and then you see your own greasy reflection there? Well, I had that, plus all 4 members of Bullet for My Valentine watching it with me. It was like some shit out of a horror movie where when somebody wipes off the mirror, there's another reflection in it. So it's not like I jerked off very often back then because I was so afraid of it. I wouldn't jerk off for like 5 or 6 months. I'd carry around like 6 months worth of nut, and it made me absolutely mentally ill. I had OCD, like actual obsessive compulsive disorder, not that shit they talk about on Twitter where someone cleaned their disgusting room because I had like fucking 15 Travis Scott meals lying around and shit all over the place, so they cleaned it and then said they were OCD because they wanted it clean or whatever. No, you just wanted to clean a dog shit messy room. I get it. It's not OCD though. I had a whole lot of shit going on during this time, and this Bullet for My Valentine poster was about to make it a lot worse. Because every time I did try and jerk off, and that poster existed there for like 2 years, every time I tried to jerk off, I fucking couldn't. I couldn't focus because I knew Bullet for My Valentine was right next to me, watching it and watching me. It fucking felt so uncomfortable. I remember I put tape over their eyes one time. Every band member's eyes, I put a little piece of duct tape. Do you know how fucking insane that looks? I probably would have looked like an actual serial killer if someone came into that room and saw that. Like, Charlie, why is there duct tape over their eyes? That's like some Zodiac killer shit. I had to stop listening to Bullet for My Valentine's music because every time I heard it, I'd think of jerking off, which is probably not what they were going for when they were making their music, trying to inspire some 16-year-old boy to just constantly think about touching his dick. It's so fucking terrible, all just because I bought a poster to look cool. And I should have just bought like an album poster, but that was the only thing FYE had was like this selfie of all four of them holding their instruments or whatever. It was terrible until one day I finally reached the boiling point and I just ripped it off the wall. I just ripped that shit right off the wall and I never looked back. Just so I had freedom to masturbate in my masturbatorium again. And I tell you, that relief when I finally did bust that age-old nut without Bullet for My Valentine haunting the room was euphoric. It was like a curse had been lifted and it was safe again to masturbate in the room. It was all just because I bought a fucking band poster to look cool. But to be fair, Bullet for My Valentine's music, still good. Still good music, yeah. I just wanted to share this because I was listening to the album again and it brought up all those repressed memories that I guess I just stored in the back of my mind. Now I want to make it clear I did still masturbate during this time. I wasn't a coward. I wasn't a pussy that was about to abandon masturbation just because I was a little uncomfortable with a band watching me do it. I still did manage to bust some out from time to time, but it made it a lot more difficult. So yeah, Bullet for My Valentine ruined the fun of masturbation for me for a little while. That's it. See ya. How big is my penis? A question I've been asked millions of times, so much so that it's infiltrated my dreams, where even the figments in my dreams are asking me that question. During every stream I ever do, I'm asked, how big is your wiener? How big is your cock? How big is that womb broom? And I make it no secret, I don't hide the fact, that my schlong is 6.5 inches of pure steel, bravery, and courage. So now, again, I'm sure I will continue to be asked it during my Twitch streams. I'll link my Twitch below so that way you too can see how many times I'm asked that question per stream. But this brought up something pretty interesting. Because always the follow-up when I say 6.5 inches pure sledgehammer is that flaccid or erect? And it got me thinking, who the fuck has a 6.5 inch flaccid dick? That is downright unholy. That would be biblical length that would rival God himself as the creator of the universe. That's just downright ridiculous. No, my penis is not 6.5 inches flaccid. I don't think any man's is. I'm sure I'm wrong, but speaking purely biologically, it just doesn't make any sense. The science you can't comprehend how a penis could be 6.5 inches flaccid, soft. It's unreal. So it got me thinking, let's talk about growing versus showing. A grower versus a shower. I am a grower. Now, what is a grower? A grower is a man whose penis is only presentable when it's fully erect at full mast. A shower is a man whose penis is presentable when even when it's soft. It doesn't need to put its makeup on and get in a good mood and stimulated before it can be presented and have people applaud it and be proud about it. However, the majority of men are not showers. I believe it is only 5% of the global population of cock-wielding men are considered showers. That statistic may be wrong. Maybe I just made it up. I'm really not sure, but I'm going to present it as a fact anyway. It's a very small portion of men in the world that are showers. Now, like I said, I'm not a shower, not at all. My flaccid dick is embarrassing. If I get out of a shower and I look at it in the mirror, I feel like a fucking vampire and just wish my reflection wasn't there because I saw my flaccid dick. I never take dick pics, no flaccid dick pics, because I always fear the day that somehow it ended up on the internet and then I'd never be allowed back on the internet just out of pure shame because it's my flaccid dick. The fucking pencil eraser flaccid dick out there. Now, like I said, it gets up to 6.5 inches of steel and bravery. Take my word for it, I swear to God. But up until that point, it is a sad fucking ice cream cone. If my soft penis fell out of my pants in front of an on-duty police officer, he wouldn't even arrest me. He'd feel too bad about it. And the point I'm making here is, let's just go ahead and drop the, when you ask for dick size, is it flaccid or hard? The size the man gives is always going to be when it's performing its best. No man is going to say his flaccid dick size because all flaccid dicks are sad. Like, what guy's going to say, yeah, I'm 3 inches soft. Oh, cool. Well, now you've completely lost that person's interest and they think less of you. That's why every time I've ever done the bedroom rodeo, as it's called around the college campuses, I'm not quite too familiar with the term for fucking or anything, but always in the past, I would never let my flaccid dick be seen. I just scramble around the room like Batman who just lost his mask, so now Bruce Wayne's desperately trying to conceal his identity. I do that, but with my dick, making sure that it was not seen in any light whatsoever. So again, why am I bringing this up? Well, to answer the Twitch question that I always fucking get, A, and B, just assume when you ask for dick size that it's being dealt with in erect units. No one's gonna tell you flaccid dick size because they're all fucking small when they're flaccid. Mine, like I said, is around like the 3-inch mark flaccid. Yahoo, yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and give that as my answer to the how big is your dick. I'm gonna tell you it when it's doing its best, which is when it's erect. It's 6.5 inches. Don't forget it. See ya. I don't think I've ever shared a story about myself so embarrassing that it changes the way you look at me. I've shared a lot of embarrassing stories with girls and shit that I've had in the past, but nothing that's so goddamn game-changingly cringe-inducing that you vomit and think less of me until today. I was trying to think of a story that I wanted to talk about because I wanted to tell a really embarrassing one today, but I wanted to like amp this shit up to like the highest fucking level I could. So I was going to my past, of which there's a myriad of embarrassing stories to choose, but I wanted to find the perfect one. And then I remembered something that made me sick to my goddamn stomach, so I can't wait to share it with all of you. So to preface this happened in high school. The year is 2011. This was right after my third lung collapse. If you've been following me for a while, you know my lung collapsed 3 times. And the last time it happened was 2011. Well, in 2011, I got surgery to have it fixed. And before I went into surgery, there was a girl I had a crush on that had just added me back on Facebook. And I decided I'd send her like this goddamn scholarly "oorah, I love you" message to her. And we had never spoken. So this girl and I never spoke once in our lives, not even by accident. If I farted somewhere in school, there's no way she would ever fucking smell it because we were never even close to each other in any sense of the word. The only reason we even knew about each other, or rather the only reason I knew about her, was because she was a cheerleader and I played basketball. Other than that, no communication, literally not even eye contact. And yet for some reason, in 2011, I sent this girl the most disgustingly embarrassing messages when I was in the hospital. I haven't read them. I screenshotted them today, and I sent them to myself so I could read them to you today, and we can experience this together as a lesson in how not to ever approach a woman in any way. So allow me, please. Pickup artist legend Charlie is going to guide you through the how-don'ts, the do-nots of women. So let's go ahead and get into these messages here. So ace pussy slaying god Charles in 2011 leads with, "I know you and I have never talked, but I just wanted to tell you that you are one of the most beautiful girls I have ever seen." Now some of you might hear that and think I came on a little too strong. Looking back on it now, hindsight's 2020, I don't think I came on strong enough. I should have led with "I love you." Signed Charles, and then like a little kiss, and then maybe go from there. So after I said this, she responds with a simple question mark. Nothing else, just one character, a question mark. I was already in the hospital, but if I wasn't, that right there would have sent me into the hospital with fucking cardiac arrest. That shit hurt so goddamn bad at the time. But I mean, what can you expect when someone leads with some shit like this? This is the kind of shit you see on Twitter with like a bad English associated with it, with a "send bobs and bitch lasagna, please, vagina look good with penis" and stuff like that. It's a creepy message. Any girl should respond with a question mark or nothing at all. But anyway, my spirits weren't deterred. I continued. "Yeah, I'm in the hospital and just said fuck it. It's worth a try. You probably don't think the same. You probably don't think the same about me, but I just wanted to say that." That's some nice guy shit right there. Jesus Christ. Well, this is pretty fucking bad. Let's keep going. To that she says, "Oh, I'm sorry," frowny face, "but thanks, I guess. Why are you in the hospital?" I'm surprised she even believed I was in the hospital, to be honest. You got a fucking stranger coming at you, pretending like he's going off to war and sending a love letter out there like it's some goddamn type of anime. If someone sent me shit like this, I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, buddy. I'm sure you're in the hospital. What do you have? Small dick syndrome going on? There's no cure. Get out of my DMs. I have recurrent pneumothorax in my left lung. It has collapsed 3 times, and tomorrow I have surgery to repair it." Sad violins playing, I'm sure, when I was typing this. "I just wanted to tell you that before I had the surgery. I know that it is..." Excuse me, I've got to scroll to the next one. It's a little out of order. 2019 Charlie clearly doesn't know how to fucking screenshot things in order. Here we go. "I know that it is a weird way to start a conversation. I also know that I came on way too strong telling you that." Self-awareness, key. Even back then I had it. Even back then I'm like, Jesus, I'm sounding really fucking weird, but I'm still going for it. Didn't stop me. Should have stopped me, to be honest. Yeah, that's the lesson to take away here. Don't do this. You know, at this, when you're starting to recognize like, holy shit, this is too strong and I'm being very weird, just stop. Then she says something very odd. On behalf of all the YouTube comments, Charles, I hope you cut your hair. I'm not cutting my hair. She didn't say that. I'm just telling you. Stop telling me to fucking cut my hair. I want to see what it looks like real long. I want to look like a goddamn lead singer in a mid-2000s emo band. Just let me fucking have this, alright? So anyway, she asked about the surgery and shit. Nothing to talk about there. But then, as we're starting to wrap up, I say, just wondering, do you know who I am? If you don't, I bet this is the most fucked up conversation you've ever been a part of. I mean, yeah, that's definitely a fucked up way of going about things, past Charles. Jesus Christ. I sound like some type of spoiled rich kid. Do you know who my father is? He invented Bing. I'm a big deal. Please, just please love me, please. God damn it. I'm in the hospital. For God's sakes, do you know who I am? God, these are such embarrassing messages. She says, haha, no, I do know who you are. Like, I've seen you, but that's it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that sounds about right. I was a very odd guy. Odd looking, too. I had this really weird my hair looks like shit now, but back then I had an even weirder hairstyle where I shaved all, like, the side, the back, and the top of my head. Like, it was a one with the clippers, but the front was about as long as it is now. So everything was pretty shaven except the bangs. So yeah, I was a fucking lunatic. It'd be hard to forget it'd be hard not to see me and make fun of me. I was one step shy of like a trench coat fedora wearing fucking loser in high school. I really was. So yeah, it makes sense that she at least remembered what I looked like, because I looked like a goddamn fucking psychopath. So to that I said, oh, sorry. I bet this is weird for you, huh? The only way to make things like this not weird is to keep saying, yeah, this is probably weird, right? That way, it takes the tension off. It's like, oh, he's saying it's weird. It can't be weird if he keeps talking about how weird it is. All right, it makes sense. Like, pretty much every fucking line I say in here is about how weird it is, and yet I keep going. To that, she says, I don't mind at all. So then, in closing, this is my finisher. This is my Mortal Kombat fatality. My big grand finale here. All right, cool. Maybe when I get out of here, we can talk more so I can get to know you a little better. I'm not as weird as this conversation makes me seem. You know. Little pro tip to the ladies: don't take someone up on that offer. They most likely are pretty fucking socially inept. I certainly was, 100%. We never talked after this. I can't imagine why, but we never spoke or anything. Nothing ever came of this, unsurprisingly. However, I'm sure if we did, I would have been still just as socially inept talking in person as I was on the Facebook Messenger. So the lesson, ladies and gentlemen, don't be weird. That's always the advice I give to someone going into college and shit. Just don't be weird. Don't be super forward. Don't be super out there. Just be normal conversations. Let things, simmer, develop, sniff things out. Don't just come in there guns blazing, fucking jerking off. I love you. Do you love me? Like, come on. Come on, 2011 Charlie. I look back on shit like this and I'm like, Jesus Christ. I never recognized how bad I was until, you get older. So, it's a pretty embarrassing story. Maybe it's not as embarrassing for listening to it, but for me, recollecting on this, it's fucking bad, man. Like, Jesus Christ. That girl was probably scared for her fucking life, thinking I'd be tossing pebbles at her window late at night at like 2 a.m. Hey, did you think about me in the hospital? I'm alright now. You want to talk? Shit, man. Well, that's the end of the story. Another nice tale for the compendium of awful interactions I've had with women, all of which being my fault, from my past. So, yeah, fuck yeah. That's it. See ya. It's been a little while since I've told this story, so go ahead and hop on my lap here by the fireplace and I'll tell you a tale. As is common with most of my stories I've told on the channel, this takes place during the period of my life where I thought it was cool to be a mysterious anime character. This was like my early years of college. As you can probably imagine, my ability to socialize during this time was absolutely pathetic. Having a conversation with a magic 8-ball would have been more fun and engaging than talking to me back then. Those poor souls that talked to me back then probably instantly regretted it, because having a conversation with old Charlie was like talking to Alexa if she was overdosing on Xanax. It was rough. Why is this important though? Because this is setting the stage for one story I haven't told yet. I've told so many stories when it comes to all of the fucking weird and creepy interactions I've had with women, all my fault, of course, just because I was so unbelievably socially inept. Like, it's hard to put into words how bad I was at recognizing social cues and how to be, acceptable in society. I fucking bought one of those fake cigarettes one time. You know that shit that kids would buy from Spencer's when they were 12? I bought one of those things when I was 18 because I thought it looked cool and I hated real cigarettes. You know how fucking sad that is? I'm surprised I didn't buy one of those colorful propeller hats and started spinning it to try and look cool or something. It was rough. So what I'm saying is, socially, I was the worst thing you could fucking imagine. But it didn't stop me from trying to have conversations with women. I tried to fake confidence, fake it to make it, and all of that shit. And today's story will be in that ballpark. So this story takes place in a location where all good social interactions take place, at GameStop. So let me take you back to the past when my social interactions sucked ass. This is GameStop 2012, 2011, somewhere in that ballpark. I was, of course, Virgin Boy Charlie, if you can even believe that. Some say I lost my virginity before my dad, but the truth is, I was actually a virgin, embarrassingly enough. And I was doing what all virgins did, using Reddit for some advice. And Reddit is one of the worst places when it comes to seduction and just general advice when it comes to human interaction, because it's the blind leading the blind. The people giving that advice, they have likely never talked to a human being before. They're probably getting all of their social cues the same place I was. Fucking anime. So I was using anime and r/relationship or something. I don't remember what subreddit. And these two things were clashing, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take both of these, do like a little unholy fusion dance, and become this ultra Chad, the product of great advice and great animation. And I was going to channel this and show that, I'm becoming more confident in myself by flirting with girls in public. And I chose my first rodeo to be at GameStop. Before going to GameStop, I had decided that I was going to march into GameStop, right up to the counter to the girl that worked there and call her beautiful right to her face. I was going to look her in the eyes. I was going to say, ma'am, you are fucking beautiful. You are gorgeous. I don't know what I expected to happen next because I didn't have a follow-up. Maybe I was fantasizing like one of those dream scenes where all of a sudden, like an anime, the girl blushes and then she calls out her 3 twin sisters or something. And they all fall in love with me. I don't know. But that was my game plan. And I was hyping myself up. I was like a football player in the locker room before the championship game, headbutting lockers. I put on a necklace, and I never wear a necklace. I found like this old gold necklace from probably when I was a kid, but my neck is still the same size as a kid's, so it still fit. I spiked my hair up real well, fucking drowned it in gel, and I mean drowned it in gel. I looked like a freshly born baby covered in amniotic fluid up there, and I felt like $1,000,000. Today was the day I was going to say to a girl, she is beautiful. So I hop into my Batmobile and I cruise on over to GameStop. I get to the door, I open it, and it's like everything else just melted around me. Time froze, and there she was, behind the desk, the only female employee at this particular GameStop, and she looked miserable. Probably because she's working at a fucking GameStop, but I was gonna make her day better by being the only man in GameStop history with the confidence to say that she was beautiful. I'm sure she doesn't hear that every day from other socially inept fucking slime balls, so I was going to be the first, the trendsetter, truly a pioneer. So I meandered around a little bit, just making sure I was building up enough confidence, going over the lines in my head. The line I was going to use was when she was done ringing me up, I was going to say, "Thank you, beautiful," and then wait to see her response, see what she says to this, hoping that she wouldn't call the police or have security come tackle me. So, I finally pick out a game, some used game I'm sure, because I was big into used games for a long time. I slam that shit on the counter because I'm ready. She starts by asking me a couple questions. Am I a member of GameStop Power Plus Ultra program? Well, no, I'm not. She's going off script. I wasn't accounting for this. It's freeform now. The dialogue has been all fucked up. I'm getting a little jumbled in my head. I'm getting nervous. I wasn't expecting to be interrogated by her today. I'm not a member of this GameStop program. Would I like to be? Well, shit, would it help my chances with you? I don't know. I'm going through all kinds of scenarios in my head. It's like a visual novel. There's a bunch of different branching paths I could choose from. I'm panicking. I'm breaking down a bit. My composure is starting to falter. There's sweat on my brow and a tickle in my sack. I was not prepared for this at all. She then asked me, do I want my receipt? Another question I wasn't anticipating. Do I say, "Thank you, beautiful," now? No, that wouldn't make sense because she asked me a question. I can't just respond with I have to answer the question. Everything's all falling apart at once. It's like Salvador Dali's painting where the clocks are melting. I'm running out of time. I don't know when to say this line. And no, I don't really want this receipt. What am I going to do? Wipe my ass with it? I paid $3 for some garbage used game. I tell her, no, thank you. You keep the receipt. And that's when she says it. A sentence that could dampen the pants of any man, even the strongest men. She says, "Thank you for shopping at GameStop." I freeze. I don't know how to respond. I stand there for what feels like hours, looking at the ground, wondering, is now the time? And then I decide I muster the courage within myself, the strength to go forward. I say, "Thank you, beautiful." I'm still looking at the ground when I say this, because I haven't earned the right to look my GameStop queen in the eyes yet. And then I do what any sane man would do. I ran away. I fucking jogged away. Before she could even like actually respond, I started jogging away with the bag in my hand like I just stole the game from GameStop. But I did hear her say, "Oh." I know for a fact she said "oh" as I turned my back to run away. I ran all the way to my car, hearing that "oh" in my head the entire way there, got in, slammed the door, and I thought to myself, Charlie, you did it. We just made that employee extremely uncomfortable, and man, do I feel like shit about it. It was a good lesson to learn. That was probably already like the 5th or 6th time that lady had been hit on that day by fucking weirdos like me. She probably just up and quit that day. That was probably the last straw right there. I don't know, because I never went back. I was just so goddamn embarrassed about this whole thing, but I do imagine she quit that day. But yeah, I tell you this story in the hopes that people will learn from it. Don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't be a fucking weirdo, and don't, yeah, that's basically it, really. That's about it. So yeah, I've got a secret, and I'm not afraid to share it right now. Much like Bruce Wayne keeping his Batman identity a secret, I've got something that I've been keeping from you. And you're not going to believe me when I tell you this, but it is the truth. I used to be a virgin. Not only did I used to be a virgin, I used to be a turbo virgin who was extremely proud of the fact that he was a virgin. In my early college years, I used to brag about being a virgin to anyone that would listen. I was like those dudes that stand on corners with the sign saying the end is near, just talking about doomsday. I was that with virginity. And every day was virginity day for me. I made a video talking about this a little while back, about how I used to brag about being a virgin. I really went hard on that being a core part of my identity in my early college years. When I did talk to girls, I would treat it like I was on Shark Tank and I was pitching my virginity to them like a business that they should invest in. It was very sad and pathetic. But I figured I'd share a few more stories from this era of my life, this arc in the Charlie anime, because there's some real golden nuggets in there that I think maybe a few of you could learn from. Though I don't imagine too many of you watching this right now think virginity is cool or something worth bragging about all the time, unless of course you're trying to be a pastor or teaching abstinence at a high school or some shit as like a sex ed teacher. But anyway, I wanted to share a couple of these stories. So the first tale from the compendium of Charles White's virginity stories is actually one that I shared on a stream recently. It was my sophomore year of college, 2014. Five Nights at Freddy's is the hottest shit, just came out. We've never seen anything like that. Our assholes blown wide open by Five Nights at Freddy's. It was a dark and stormy night, and my roommate had a girl over. It wasn't anyone romantic, they weren't together, they weren't, anything at all. It was a friend of his from high school who came down to party at the university. I did not go to a party that night. I stayed in the dorm room watching cartoons. After the partying had ceased and everyone had their fun, my roommate went to bed, but she didn't. She sat on the couch and watched whatever cartoon I was watching at the time. I think I was watching Justice League or some shit, so she was wet. And she just started talking about how much fun she had at the party and eventually asked me why I didn't go with them. And I tried to play it cool. I said, I had better things to do. And if I had a cigar, I would have lit it in that moment right there and just blew a big fucking puff. I was really trying to be suave about it, but the reality is the reason I didn't go was because I wasn't invited. It was a very low-key party, and this was when I still wasn't super familiar with my roommates. They were probably afraid I'd crawl on top of one of the tables and start trying to lead like a virginity chant, like, raise your hands if you're a virgin. Oh, just me? Even better, something weird. So they didn't ask me to go, which is why I wasn't there. But anyway, of course, me being this virginity evangelist that wouldn't shut the fuck up about virginity, we talked more about some shit, I don't remember what, but of course, me being the mysterious anime loser virgin extraordinaire back then, I eventually steered our conversation into a talk of virginity. And I started telling her about, how great it is being a virgin and how, maybe I'll lose it soon if I'm really feeling like it, as if I had, a ton of options, like my fucking cell phone was full of applicants to take my virginity. And she said something that still rings in my ears sometimes when I'm trying to go to bed. After telling her all of this about my virginity and telling it with a real smile on my face, really fucking saying it with my chest like I am a virgin, she hit 19-year-old Charles with a giggle and a wow, that's so sad. And she thought I was kidding, so she started making jokes about it, and I insisted that no, I was being serious, and I was like, damn. On the inside I was like, damn, that was brutal, that shit hurt, but she's not wrong. The more I say it out loud, the more I realize how sad it is. And then she goes on to say, I'll suck your dick if you want. And I went into a full fucking meltdown mode. It was like something out of Tom and Jerry when like the stars are going around when they're like knocked out. I was having like a fucking meltdown. And I eventually just went into like full Redditor mode. I was like, oh gee, whoa, whoa. No, madame, I could never ask such a thing of you. Absolutely not. I would not have that. I'd like my virginity to stay, thank you very much, you harpy, you succubus. So I stood my ground and declined the blowjob, which was a more than generous offer from her, might I add. She was just gonna take one for the team, a real champion. Like, what a great friend my roommate had. And honestly, I probably saved her life by declining that blowjob because I don't think she quite knew what she was dealing with and getting into. She was about to bite off more than she could chew. She was like Icarus flying way too close to the sun. If she did give me that blowjob, I would have blasted an unholy cum shot at an unreal velocity that probably would have pierced the back of her throat and gone out the other side. It would have looked like she got hit by a fucking sniper. My wiener had never even been accidentally touched by a human female. The closest thing my cock ever got to a girl touching it back during that time was when a girl accidentally hit me in the balls with her criminology book when we were standing up from the table in the classroom. So if she blew me, I would have busted a nut of biblical proportion, a dangerous nut. So really, I made a noble decision and saved her life by declining that. And I think that incident right there, where she said it was so sad that she was just going to offer me a blowjob, really put it in perspective how sad it really was. Because it was so sad that not only did she tell me to my face how sad it was, but she tried to offer like consolation, as if she was trying to console someone who was grieving. Pretty wild stuff. And I figured I'll share one more story because this one's just as embarrassing. Probably not as embarrassing though. Probably worse. Before my sophomore year of college, my high school had a reunion party at one of the girls' houses. And this is when I just started drinking, and I was getting after it. I was fucking hitting that alcohol real hard. And one thing that I talked about this in the previous bragging about virginity video, but one thing I used to do is I would get drunk and start bragging about my virginity in different accents. Well, I remember at this high school reunion party with all my old high school classmates, I reached that level of drunk where it was time that Irish Charlie come out and start talking about his virginity. So for the whole night that I can remember before total blackout, I was talking in an Irish accent about how great it is being a virgin and how everyone who had lost their virginity had just failed to reach enlightenment. I was the happiest one being a virgin, all in an Irish accent, of course. And then I do remember one of the girls kissed me and I pre-came down my leg. I don't know if it was like a pity kiss or something, or like pent up feelings from high school, though I doubt it because I was a real fucking weirdo in high school. But I remember one of the girls kissing me, and I pre-came down my leg. At least that's what I tell myself, that it was pre-cum. Honestly, it could have just been a full load that I blew down my leg. I really don't know. But I do know I wasn't invited to the follow-up high school reunion party the next year. So there's a very good chance that I might have just shit myself, honestly, down my leg. It could have been anything. It could have been any mystery fluid coming out of there. I couldn't tell you. But yeah. Just a couple more tales from this time where I thought bragging about being a virgin was cool. Again, the lesson to take away: bragging about virginity is a weird thing to do. So yeah, probably just avoid that. Don't do that. That's it. See ya. It's been a little while since the last time I sat you down at the fireplace with my bathrobe slightly ajar to tell you an embarrassing story from the period in my life where I've LARPed as a fucking mysterious anime character. This was around the time I was like 18, 19 years old, so like freshman, early sophomore year of college. And I've told many a pathetic story from this sad compendium of miserable social ineptitude. And there's one I haven't shared with you that I thought I'd share today. This was actually the first date I ever went on, like first official date. I'll just give you a brief lore update for those that haven't seen any of the other videos. Back in early college years, I thought it'd be great to reinvent myself as a mysterious anime character in real life. It worked for the anime characters. Girls were always trying to constantly like gobble on their meat. And so I thought, well, if it worked for them, it could work for me. So I wanted to be like super unique. I wanted to wear a chain with my favorite video game disc on it, Psychonauts. So just be like a fucking chain with Psychonauts on it. I also refuse to talk to people, so if people talk to me or ask me questions, I'd respond with like moans and grunts instead of words. And it was really goofy shit. Like talking to me would be like talking to an NPC in Banjo-Kazooie where they just respond with that. Like that's how I would pretty much respond to shit, or just complete silence. I have no doubt a lot of people on campus probably reported me to authorities as a potential threat to the university in those early year and a half, however long I spent doing that. But I eventually grew out of it. But during this time, I actually did get a date. My first real official date. Now, while this was my first date, it wasn't like I was a completely kissless virgin. I was a virgin who had been kissed once. It was a dare. A girl was once dared to kiss me because that was seen as such a punishment that in a truth or dare game, they made it a dare to kiss me. And I was like, fuck yeah, this is my time to shine. Probably pre-came and shit my pants at the same time. But anyway, I managed to get this date because a friend of mine from high school actually invited me to a party. We hadn't seen each other in quite some time, and they invited me out to go drink with them. At the time, I was completely straight edge. I didn't want to touch drugs. I didn't want to touch beer. I also wasn't even sure I ever wanted to lose my virginity. I was starting to think it might even be best if I didn't. But they invited me to this party, and I was still in this mysterious anime phase, and he invited me to play beer pong with him, and I was like, well, as long as I don't drink. And he's like, fuck it, Charlie, I'll just drink for you. Just fucking play with me. And I was like, sure, let's go. So we were playing, and then eventually his friends called him to do like a keg stand or something, so I needed a partner, and a girl hopped in to play with me. And I didn't say a fucking word to her. And I guess that must have been cool enough because she started talking to me, and then I eventually like mumbled out like, do you want to go to the beach? And she said yes. She gave me her number, and we set up a beach date for the next day. And my God, I don't even think I slept that night. I remember that night after the party, I went back to the dorm and I was just busting out hundreds of crunches and like bicycle crunches and shit, trying to sculpt out my abs speedrun style. I didn't eat. I only drank a ton of water, just trying desperately to get my six-pack to pop out a bit more. I was a lot leaner back then because all I focused on was being like ripped, but my arms were super skinny, so I just kind of looked like an actual poorly drawn anime character physique-wise. Nowadays, I'm just actually fucking jacked, but back then I was like, all I need is abs, and girls will want to fuck me real good. So I'm in my dorm for hours just fucking doing an impromptu P90X routine till the sun comes up, and I text her, she doesn't respond, I start to panic, I texted her again, still didn't respond, I'm fucking freaking out, I'm like, oh my God, I've ruined it, I fucking blew it, holy shit, it's all over, she hates me, she probably reported me to the police because I was creepy, oh my fucking God. I text her again, I fucking triple texted her, literally the worst possible thing you could do. She finally responds just saying she was sleeping, and then I realized that that's probably about par for the course because it was like 9 a.m. I was like, it's fucking like Saturday, and I'm texting her at 9 a.m. like 1,000 times. It you know, stands to reason that she might just be sleeping in. Fucking having a manic episode in the text messages there at 9 a.m. and then she still agrees to meet with me. She's like, yeah, we're still down for the beach, let's go. So we meet at my car. I play my boner jams, which was a real risk for me because the music I listened to then and the music I still listen to now isn't really popular. It's mainly like metal and shit like that. And luckily she likes that music. In fact, she even knew some of the bands like Cybreed. She likes Cybreed, which is still my favorite band right now. So that was cool, but I'd never done small talk or anything. So I didn't know how that was supposed to go, and I think she was picking up on that, so she took the initiative to talk to me. So she asked me, hey, did you have fun at the party last night? I said, nope. Which is a great response because, I mean, that's super cool. Like, hey, this guy is so goddamn badass, he didn't have any fun last night. But I do remember saying the only cool thing about the party was meeting you. I was like, that's kind of suave. So I hit her with that bit of smooth ass cheeks right there. To which she didn't really say anything. At least I don't remember her saying anything. Maybe she had just gotten completely sodden panties and, you know, that's probably what happened. But she continues, you know, standard stuff. What's your major? At the time it was digital arts. This was before I switched. Do you like digital arts? It sounds cool. What is that? And I was like, I fucking hate it. It's just making 3D animations. It sucks. So I'm just constantly doing my best to ruin any kind of positivity. That whole car ride was basically like condensed pessimism on wheels. And so she just keeps asking me these questions to which I'm giving like the worst responses to imaginable, convinced like the anime characters I've seen before that being different or being negative is cool to women, which it's definitely not. But she eventually gets to the dagger what do you do? Like, she probably assumed I had like a job or something, because she did. So she's like, well, what do you do for work? You know, what do you do? And I was like, can't get into that. It's a secret. Which obviously piqued her interest, because like, what the fuck does that mean? Am I like a CIA spy? Am I a hitman? Assassin? Like, what the fuck is that? She's like, well, what do you mean it's a secret? It's like, I just can't get into that. I can't talk about it. So she keeps poking the sleeping bear. She's like, well, what do you mean? What do you do? Like, it's kind of weird. Like, what do you do? And eventually I'm like, I make videos on the internet. Keep in mind, this is 2013. The idea of being a YouTuber was a foreign concept back then. I'd also never told anyone about this. I never said out loud that I made videos online. I always kept that like my biggest top secret. I never ever talked about it, but in this instance, I was fucking desperate. I was pulling out all the stops. I was emptying my pockets of all the possible fucking spaghetti I could fill on the floor, vomiting anything that might help my chances of getting me laid. I would have told her I was Santa Claus if I thought it would help my chances of getting my cock wet. I was just going all out. Just this once. Just trying. So I told her I make videos on the internet, and she laughed at me, which just felt phenomenal. She thought I was just kidding because I had hyped it up so much to that grand wet fart of a reveal. She was probably just relieved more than anything, because she probably thought I was a psychopath with the way I was answering, but I dropped that nugget of truth on her, and at the time, like I said, this wasn't really anything anyone talked about. Like, YouTuber wasn't a thing back then. Most of the most popular shit was like Facebook pages that people knew. And when it came to YouTubers, most people only knew like the biggest ones. The big one back then that I remember most people talking about was Epic Mealtime. And I also remember even things like I'm Schmacked were kind of big back then. But other than that, there wasn't a ton else that college students would think of when they hear of internet content creator YouTuber. So she didn't really find that all that impressive, and I've never treated it like a job or anything, but I just thought it was going to be a good answer to that question, one that she probably hadn't heard before, and she probably never did hear it before because she just straight laughed at it, which it didn't make me feel like my chances were being helped. She thought that I was just making like a joke out of it because I just made it like this hyped up thing, like, no, it's a big secret. It's a fucking government secret. I'm not allowed to say it. If I say it, the government's gonna come fucking kill me. And then I just reveal like I make fucking gameplay and commentary videos on YouTube. So she giggled at that, and then she asked what the channel was, so I showed it to her when we parked. I brought up the channel, and at the time, the channel video that would autoplay was my titty simulator game, which of course was a kind of weird look, so I bring that up. At the time I had like 800,000 subscribers, which is a fucking ton, and she was impressed by the number, but the content itself I don't think she was too fond of, because it was titty simulator, with me talking about fucking honkin' milkers being dragged around by their nipple, and then some of the other related ones were other weird games like Don't Shit Your Pants and things. So she didn't really want to stay on the channel that long, but she said congratulations to me, and I was like, well, okay, it didn't really work very well, now did it? So we finally arrive at the beach. Confidence is shot. I can tell that this mysterious anime character facade's not doing me any favors. So we end up just going to like a pretty crowded area on the beach at Clearwater, and just laying down, and she played music with her earbuds in. and I just kind of laid there, you know, pretending like this was productive. Like, yeah, I'd always wanted a tan. I'll just fucking lay here with my ass cheeks hanging out, I guess. Why not? And just fucking sit there doing nothing while she's listening to music at the beach. At the end of it, I just kind of felt like I was an Uber driver who stayed a little too long. Like, she requested a ride, but then I had nothing else to do, so I also just went to the same destination. So we just kind of stayed there for like an hour, and then she's like, all right, I'm ready to head back. I'm kind of hungry. I didn't even bother asking if she wanted to get food with me, because I could already just pick up on the vibe here that it wasn't really going anywhere. So we go back, and then she hugged me, and I was like, fuck, it was all worth it. I got a hug. Let's go. Woo! So I got a hug out of it, which means I was a champion that day, but we never talked again, surprisingly. And that's how my first date went. So overall, pretty successful. Got off to a great start, really, in the whole romance world. And yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. I also think it's a pretty interesting look at how things have changed recently, because back then, YouTuber wasn't even a word in anyone's vernacular. No one had ever really like heard of that before. It wasn't really an explored concept, just kind of like this emerging hobby that some people would pick up on. But nowadays, I think it's like 60% of kids want to grow up to be like a YouTuber or internet creator, which is wild. So in less than a decade, it has completely changed. But back then, yeah, that shit was not looked at too positively. But anyway, I just wanted to share this story because I haven't done this one before, and I thought it was worth sharing. That's about it. See ya. What? Wow. Fantastic start. Absolutely splendid shit. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. I wanted to share another story with you guys today. I know I just told one yesterday, actually, but that actually happened last week. I made that video last week, and I only posted it yesterday. And the night after that happened, we went out again, and I had another unfortunate encounter, and another one that was just out of my control. It was my friend again, not the same guy, just another one of my friends, someone I thought I could trust, someone that I thought I could give my Yu-Gi-Oh card collection to and expect to have it returned to me back in mint condition. I haven't fucking touched my Yu-Gi-Oh cards in years, but I feel like that's a pretty big display of trust. I'd let them walk around in my animal slippers, which is something I don't let a lot of people do, so I trusted this person, and it backfired yet again. And this is a tale I don't tell easily because I genuinely have been having some fucking PTSD flashbacks to this scenario. Every time I think about it, it's like a frag grenade goes off in my apartment, my vision gets blurry, everything seems like it's covered in smoke, my ears start ringing. You know that feeling where it sounds like Alpha 5 from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers having a thunderous orgasm in your ear? Yeah, every time I think about this, that's what happens to me. So this story starts the same as all of history's most influential and most memorable stories. I was taking a fat shit in my bathroom getting ready to go out with my friends. We were pre-gaming a little bit, not too hard because there's really no point to pre-game super hard to happy hours and other drink specials. So we finish this, I pinch off the grumpy, and I'm ready to rock and roll. We go to this different bar, not the same one from the night before. And this was around the time Hurricane Herbert or Hermione or whatever the fuck the name of that hurricane was hitting. So it was very moist out. There was a lot of moisture in the air. There was a little bit of rain, just some sprinkling, just spitting out there. So people were fucking climbing over each other, World War Z style, trying to get into the bar. Pretty long line, but it wasn't too bad, and it wasn't raining really hard or anything like that. It was just kind of a nuisance. So when my friends and I got into the bar, we started going turbo immediately. We just went up to the bar and just started fucking slapping drinks hardcore and just getting absolutely obliterated. And while we were doing this, a girl that I kind of knew at the time came up because she saw us. She's like, you know what, I want to get in on that action. They're going hard in the paint. I'm about that life. I'm going to try and put anus to faces over here too, like these guys are. And this girl is absolutely gorgeous, probably one of the prettiest girls that I know. And it's not like we're super familiar with each other. We never exchanged numbers or hooked up or anything like that. But we had gotten fucked up at bars together in the past, so we knew each other a little bit. And this girl was going, and she was fucking ordering drinks faster than we were. She's like, come on, hold on a second, pussy tits. I'm getting 2 more. And just taking them both, bam, breaking shit on her fucking face. She wasn't doing that, but that would have been pretty cool too. But yeah, it was just fun. And after doing this for like an hour or 2 hours, however long it was, one of my friends, he was flopping around like a noodle. He was too drunk, so he went home because he lived pretty close. And then it was just me and my other friend, actually the same friend from my ceramic story, G. So it was me and G and this girl. And we were ready to leave. We were going to go back to my place, which is also walking distance from this bar, and we were just going to hang out for a bit. And since Hurricane Hermione was hitting in full force, shit, the rain was fucking coming in sideways. It felt like hail. It felt like we were just getting bullets shot at us, and it was kind of cool. And on this adventure back to my apartment, this 0.2 mile walk, the girl and I had made out, and things seemed to be going pretty well, She seemed like she wanted to come back and stay over. And G was going to sleep on my couch bed hybrid thing, because my couch pulls out into a bed, some Star Trek style shit. I know, real advanced technology. And because that's what he usually does when he gets too drunk, because his place is too far away to walk to. And he's done this many times in the past. So we get back to my place, and her and I are just waiting for G to go to sleep. We were just waiting for him to be like, all right, y'all, I'm tired. I'm peacing out. I'm going to have some sweet dreams real quick. Night, night. And he wasn't doing it. He wasn't feeling it. This guy, he was in it for the long haul. He wanted to stay up till the sun was coming up. And eventually her and I were like, all right, we're getting tired. We're going to call it a night. And G was like, all right, Charlie, take me home. And I was shell-shocked. I was like, excuse me, that has to be a joke. So I laughed in his face. I was like, oh, you really yanked my chain good there, partner. No, I'm not doing that. I'm definitely not taking you home. And he was adamant about this. He was not budging. This man had slept on my couch at least 10 times in the fucking past, even when I didn't even want him to or know he was sleeping on my couch. We would just be playing a fucking game and he'd be like, all right, Charlie, I'm going to sleep, and just crash on my couch all night. And then tonight, the one time I fucking needed him to crash on my couch, he was just not having it. He was driving a fucking hard bargain. And we just went back and forth. I was like, gee, no, I don't want to do that. I'm not going to do that. I'd already sobered up because we'd been at my place for a while, and I wasn't drunk anymore, so I could take him home if I wanted to, but I didn't want to. And the girl was just watching both of us going back and forth. It was like an Indian soap opera where it keeps zooming in on the girl as she's looking at the two people talking, you know what I mean? Real dramatic like. and I could see beads of sweat just dripping down her face. No, please, don't budge. Don't drive him home. She was very concerned that I wasn't going to plant my feet and was going to give in to this. And this was just a real-life example of that conundrum. What happens when an unstoppable force of sexually driven hormones meets an immovable object of reluctance to sleep on a couch? And unfortunately, I just gave in because he just kept going. He's like, you know what, fuck it, alright, I'll just walk home, it's not a big deal. But he'd be walking 3 miles through a really shitty part of town. It's akin to walking through a fucking minefield. And I just kept giving him every chance in the book. I was like, gee, come on, you've slept on that couch so many times, wouldn't it just be far more convenient if you did that? He's like, no, Charlie, no, I will not sleep on that fucking couch. That couch has poopy on it right now, I don't want to lay in poopy. Just on. And then I just kept saying, gee, look, please, I don't want to do this. I was fucking begging him, don't make me do this. And then eventually I just gave in. Yeah, I was like, fuck it, G, you win, I'll drive you home. And then I could see the girl was very disappointed and upset, and so was I. I had fucking tears in my eyes, and I was begging her, please, it'll only take me 25 minutes to do this. Just wait in my bed, just, nap for a little bit, please. Sorewa, machurizo, just wait. Just, everything. I was just trying it all. It was like a scene in all of those romantic movies, like the really sad scene where they're chasing each other through a garden. The dude or the girl is shouting the other person's name, and they just can't hear it, they just keep walking. She had already made her decision, she wasn't gonna wait. She was gonna just go back to her place. Since we live in the same apartment complex, she just walked right back to her apartment and went to bed. And then the entire ride, I was bringing G home. I was so fucking tight about it. I was just telling him, G, you know what you've done, right? Do you realize the implications? Do you realize what you have fucking done to me, G? And he in his defense, I don't think he knew what was going on, even though I pretty much blatantly told him to his face, like, please, this is what's going on. But he was pretty fucked up, so I'll give him that. And yeah, ever since then, I've just been tossing and turning in my sleep. Sometimes I'll have nightmares where I will be in the same situation again, except my entire apartment will go up in flames, and that's preferable to what actually happened. I would have rather my apartment just get fucking taken out by Hurricane Hermione at that point in time than have to have this memory, this very sour memory. But yeah, that's the back-to-back nights of unfortunate circumstances I had no control over. The double whammy, the double fisting, the double penetration, the double dare, the double disappointment. Yeah, and that's about it. So yeah. Here's a little touching story for all of you from my past. I believe this was in my freshman or sophomore year of high school, and puberty was coming in full swing. My body was changing, I was getting hair on my nutsack, my butthole. My height really wasn't changing. I've pretty much been short my whole life. 5'6" has pretty much been my max level cap. Hopefully soon there'll be a new patch or a new expansion set to this godforsaken world where they can increase my height without having to obliterate my fucking legs in some back alley meth lab. But anyway, that's not really part of the story about me being short. Anyway, I was going through a really hard porn addiction phase. I was an absolute porn fiend, and one day before class, I wanted to see some vagina. I wanted to ejaculate. I wanted to just bust a nut real hard before class. But I couldn't. I watched a lot of porn for the better part of 25 minutes, which for me was a bender and a half. Usually I would have come 3 times during that period back then. But on this cursed day, my well was dried up and I had no more semen left to give my boxers. It's also worth noting as an important detail, during this time I never needed to jerk off. I never even knew how. I'd always just ejaculate after getting an erection, and sometimes I'd try different techniques like slapping it around or something to see if that helped the sensations or anything, but I never really jerked off. That's the point here. I could ejaculate using just the power of my intellect and euphoric gamer senses. I was able to just propel cum when I was stimulated visually or mentally. Alright, so now take that little nugget of wisdom and put it in your back pocket and save it for trivia night. It's going to play a major role in the plot a little further down the line in this story. So I wanted to stay home and just ejaculate because I thought something was wrong with me. I thought my dick stopped working or God banned me from ejaculating. I just thought something was awry, and I wanted to stay home, but my parents wouldn't let me because that day we had a school play to perform. It was Hamlet, and I was playing the role of fucking P. Diddy. Who's the character with the P in his name? Palpatine? Jesus, it's definitely not fucking Palpatine. I'm not playing Chancellor Palpatine or anything like that. It's like Polonius. I was playing Polonius, and he gets stabbed, and I guess that's like crucial to the story maybe. So I couldn't miss it. My parents didn't want me to miss it. They'd already planned on going to see it, so I couldn't skip school that day to ejaculate. Plus, that's not exactly a strong reason. I was very forward with why I didn't want to go to school. I was telling my parents, look, I just want to come. No sane parent's gonna be like, you know what, that's a good excuse, Harold. Let's not send him to school today. So I get sent to school. I go through school per usual, and the play was supposed to take place right after school ended. So yeah, I was able to push back the desire to ejaculate and all that for the entire school day and up till the play. And I was rehearsing my lines or my actions. And all of a sudden, all at once, it was like a light switch went off. It was like I was having a fucking Jimmy Neutron brain blast in like the costume room, and all I was seeing was porn. Like my eyes just rolled into the back of my head, and all I was looking at was porn. Like I was Professor Xavier who just jacked into Cerebro, and I was seeing all of the porn that I'd ever seen in my life all at once. And I got hard as a fucking rock. And I knew that was dangerous because, like I said earlier, I never needed to like physically stimulate myself to ejaculate. So I'm sitting there in my Polonius costume on the verge of just blowing a hard load into it right before going on stage, and I'm panicking because we're about to perform this play and I have some shit I gotta do in the play. Like I'd hate to be the guy that gets stabbed in the play, the curtain rolls back, and then all of a sudden I'm just laying on the floor with a boner and a wet spot in front of the whole school and all the school's parents. That'd be terrifying for all of them and myself. So I'm trying to brainstorm ideas. I didn't want to just go blow a load into the toilet because that thought never really occurred to me then. So my plan was to just start chugging water as quickly as I could and just try and pee out my erection. I thought that would work if I just kept urine flowing the best I could. I only had like T-minus 20 minutes till showtime, so I killed like 2 water bottles and the plan worked. I was able to like basically piss out all of my boner, and I was able to perform the play the best I could. But the lesson here is, no half measures. If you feel like you need to ejaculate, then fucking do it. Get it out of the way, because you never know when it might come back to haunt you. You might be in the middle of a school play, and then all of a sudden you're spitting out baby gravy into your costume and trying not to cry in front of the whole class. Just don't edge for like 9 hours. Just get it done, get it over with, and then be productive for the rest of the day. That's the lesson. I guess the lesson is quite literally jerk off if you need to. That's it. See ya. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's that special time of year again where we peel back the curtain, I take off the condom, and I answer your most asked questions of the year through Twitch chat, through email, and YouTube comments. I just kind of make a mental list of the most asked questions. So let's start with the first one. Do you still play recorder? You tell me. How tall am I? I'm 5'6", the optimal male height. It's what God envisioned for our species. Anything above 5'6", it just seems silly to me. Why would you want to be taller than the golden height? It's the height. I fucking hate being short. Here's one that I absolutely hate, but I have to acknowledge because it truly is probably one of the top 3 most asked questions of the year. What is your favorite meme? Fucking hate meme and meme culture. I think it's all just super god awful and lazy. I just don't even understand the point of memes anymore. They're not even entertaining. They don't even get like an exhale from the nostril anymore. They just seem fucking silly. Odd flex, but okay. And god fucking meme. I hate that shit, but I have to acknowledge it because I answer the most asked questions every year. So what is your favorite meme? The only meme that I appreciate in any capacity is the oppressed gamer meme. I've answered this multiple times and even made a video answering it again, and yet I'm still getting emails about it, so I'm going to answer it yet again. Where do you stream now, since you haven't streamed on YouTube in a while? I stream on Twitch now. But wait, I thought you fucking hated Twitch. Yeah, I had a lot of problems with Twitch, the majority of which they've been actively improving on. Meanwhile, YouTube is devolving and fucking its own ass in all possible aspects. So I do all my streaming on Twitch now. See, even Tetra's tired of this fucking question. Listen to that. So yes, I stream on Twitch now. No, I don't hate it anymore. It's a lot better than YouTube streaming. Again, I will post a link to my Twitch in the description of this video. Next big question I always get asked, and this one I get asked all the fucking time, and again, this is one that I've answered before. What is your favorite type of porn? Lesbian porn. I'm a man of exquisite taste. What can I say? Lesbian porn offers by far some of the best in the business. It's hard to dispute that fact. Yeah, you can have like your weird kinky fetishes where there's something with like rubber squeaky toys being shoved in the buttholes and whatever, but on the whole, and I'm not talking on the asshole, on like the general statement, lesbian porn, in my opinion, is the best that gets made. Next big question, is there going to be more wetware, new wetware selections? Yes, there is. And there is right now, actually. There's hoodies and shit. There's a lot of new wetware available, so if you do want to get wetware, I'll put a link to that in the description as well if you want to check that out. Do you edit your own videos? For the most part, I edit all of my own shit, which is why it all looks like 2008 era shit, because I'm a really bad editor. I don't have a special effects degree. I'm not in contact with Marvel Studios effects team or anything, so it's pretty bare bones, just syncing, trimming, and then putting it together. It's about it. However, the podcast gets edited by Jackson, and the Moist Meter also gets edited by Jackson, which is why the two of those have a bit more production value and don't look like some middle schooler's portfolio or first time with Windows Movie Maker. I forgot to mention this one when talking about Twitch. This is one that I'm asked probably more than anything else. This, I would say, is the most frequent question of the year for me. Will you be playing and or streaming huge name game coming out soon? Yes, I will most likely be playing and or streaming the huge game that you have just asked me about. I've got G Fuel in the veins. What can I say? I'm a hardcore, elite, top-tier gamer, barbarian, assassin guru. I play the majority of new games that come out. I always have. I stream a lot of them too. Maybe not all of them, but I do, for the most part, play the majority of the new games. So yes, I will probably be checking that out. What advice would I give to a college kid? I don't know why I'm always turned to for advice when dealing with college matters and the social aspect of college, especially after I already made the video talking about how I spent an entire year of my college life, my freshman year, pretending to be an anime mysterious guy who was one step shy of having his nipples pierced and wearing assless chaps to appear different and unique. I don't know why people would turn to me for the social aspect of advice in college, but regardless, the advice I would always give someone is don't be weird. Don't be weird. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not telling you not to be yourself or to just be like some carbon copy cloned of every other fucking douchebag in college. I'm saying don't come on too strong and fire on all fucking cylinders. Go in there full mast, full erection, blood pouring to your throbbing member, gloating about your favorite hentai to someone you're just meeting for the first time. Ease your way into someone's life, find commonalities, common ground, small talk, and then, go from there. Just, I guess it's less of don't be weird and more of don't be so overbearing. Well, I guess just don't be weird. I still think that's the best fucking advice. Don't be weird when you're first starting to meet people or trying to carve out your own identity in a new space. This is one I don't really understand, but I'm always asked. Are you ever going to do more of the real series, real videos? And I don't get that because it's not like I ever stopped. I just don't call them the real and then product name. They're just infomercial dubs. The only reason I ever called it the real series is because I was too fucking lazy to individually name those videos. But now I name them. Nothing has changed. I still make those. I just don't call them the real because it's a stupid fucking name, really. Why are you afraid of flying? As most of you know, I'm afraid of flying. Why am I afraid of flying? Well, it's fucking scary to me. The thought that if something does go wrong and it can't really be fixed in the air by the pilots or anything, I'm super fucked. There's not a whole lot I can do in that scenario to help myself. My seat can be used as a flotation device? Oh, fantastic. That's splendid. I'll make sure to cry into that as the plane fucking explodes. Oh, an oxygen mask, huh? Oh, great. I can stay conscious a little while longer as the plane fucking nosedives so that I can continue to see it coming. Fantastic. There's just not it's the lack of control should something go wrong and the lack of anything else to prevent it. Like I'm helpless in that scenario. I can't like hop onto the wing of the plane and then like take like a fucking master key to it and start turning gears or a wrench to it and start fixing shit. I'm fucked. It's over at that point, and I hate that thought. Just having it be entirely in someone else's hands and should it go wrong, being completely powerless to try and fix it. And it also being 100% fatal should it go wrong. It's fucking scary. Flying is scary. You're insane if you fly. You're a fucking mad lad if you fly. I respect you. I respect that a lot. I can't do it. It's fucking scary. I've done it like 10 or so times and it's fucking terrifying every time. Another big question that I get asked every year, why is my YouTube channel Penguinz, what I call myself, Critical or Charlie? The channel's 12 years old-ish. I made it when I was very young. I didn't put a whole lot of thought into it, so I just called it Penguinz because I like penguins. I still like penguins. And then it was Critical because that was my Xbox Live gamer tag. I changed my Xbox Live gamer tag to that, and I like the sound of it, so I went by that as well. And then Charlie's my actual name. So I got a lot of fucking aliases out here. I'll answer one more big one. Why did you give blank this score on the moist meter. It's truly the best thing humanity's ever made. How could you possibly think it was anything under 100%? The moist meter fucking sucks. You fucking suck. Fuck you. Well, I gave it that score because I thought that's the score it deserved. That's typically the story behind it. There's no, like, hidden meaning behind it. I just kind of try to grade it objectively speaking. Or I guess you can never really be fully objective with things. You're always going to have your own personal biases in there, I suppose. But I do my best to keep it objective. And I thought that's the score it deserved. I'm sorry to have spit on your beloved property, but one thing I've learned, when you start reviewing something, you open yourself up to such hostility from the fanboys of that area. For example, the best one I can pull from immediately is Rockstar. People blindly follow Rockstar games and will always support them no matter what type of anti-consumer business practices they employ, and even if the games really aren't as good as they made out to be. Red Dead Redemption, I gave an 80% to because I feel like that's what the game 100% deserves with its shortcomings and its incredible innovation in the field. I think it's a very good game, a game that I would highly recommend to the majority of people. But because I don't grade things the way the other journalists do, where everything gets a 90 or 100 these days to appease the super angry and super fickle gamer culture, people target me like, oh, this fucking guy just wants to be a contrarian. Oh, he has such shit taste. He's obviously just doing this for views, even though like the score's not publicized in the title, so no one would really know unless they had already clicked on it to see the score. But regardless, it's a shit argument. The point I'm making is, in today's day and age, you're not allowed to criticize something, and it's just sad because even if you have valid criticisms, it doesn't matter because people that are a fan of who the studio or the property itself take it as a personal insult and will never see those complaints as anything other than just edgy or contrarian for the sake of being contrarian, which is sad. And journalists really they enable this type of behavior by just giving these scores away. You'll be hard-pressed to find scores in 2018 for games that are below an 80. Nearly everything is an 80 to 100 in 2018. And I'll tell you right now, every game that's come out this year is not in that ballpark. Not even close. So, I guess to answer the question, why did you give it this score? It fucking deserved it, in my opinion, for sure. Well, that was this year's yearly answering questions video. I hope I answered the question that you've probably asked at some point. I hope I covered most of them. That's it. See ya. What's up, everybody? It's Critical. I wanted to share a story with you all about an experience I've had with Tinder. I haven't told a story in a while, and I thought this was a good one to tell. I still have Tinder, but I don't use it anymore. And over the last year, I only really used it to survey my matches about Brendan Fraser and just kind of gauge their interest in a Brendan Fraser comeback. Basically, I was just a fucking Brendan Fraser epidemiologist on Tinder. But that wasn't always the case. Back when Tinder was first starting to get big a few years ago, I put a lot of effort there and went on a few dates from Tinder. The majority of the dates were absolutely atrocious, just abysmal. But one date in particular will stand out as the worst date I've ever had, and probably will ever have. It's the worst date you could ever have. So I was talking to this girl from Tinder, and she was a real cutie patootie, and I was making some smooth moves. Hey girl, you got that baloney, I got that turbo dick, let's make a sex sandwich. You know, some real suave shit. Yahar, matey, your cooter be wettin' me willy wants to set sail. Let's fuck, you know, some good shit, and she was into it. So we had come up with a whole date day, you know, we were gonna meet and do all these things together, and it was gonna be a fun day. And when that day rolled around, it turned out there was no fun to be had whatsoever. So the plan was I was going to pick her up and we were going to get food first, but I couldn't really figure out which house was hers because the address was all kind of fucked up in the GPS. I guess she lived in an underground bunker. So I pulled up to this weird looking house. It looked like a little crack shack, and then an old man exited the door as I was texting her. So I was like, oh shit, this guy that looks like a ZZ Top member's coming into my car. I've been bamboozled. I've been schmeckeldorfed. But then she calls me and it turns out I was just at her neighbor's house. But then when I pulled up to her house and she exited the door, it was the exact same experience. This girl looked nothing like her Tinder pictures or any of the Snapchats she sent me. This was a completely different person. But she was fun to talk to, so, you know, I still thought it was still going to be a fun day, even though she didn't look like what I expected or anything like that. So she opens my car, and as she sits down, she just rips ass. Just fucking explodes from the anus. It's like she just jumped on a whoopee cushion once she got in my car. And there was no reasonable excuse you could make here, you know, like, oh, damn sneaky sneakers making fart noises down there. No. It was very clear to everyone, including God, that was a really hard breaking of wind. But she tried her best to try and hide the sound, so she just started coughing super loud, so that way, you know, oh, it was just a cough, a really loud cough. but she really overdid it. She went into a fucking 40-second coughing fit for a 1-second ass rippage. I don't understand. Maybe she was just farting the whole time she was under this coughing spell, just shitting her pants in my passenger seat. But I was worried I was gonna have to fucking take her to the hospital. She just kept coughing and coughing and coughing, and I was panicking. And then all of a sudden, she stopped and apologizes, and that's when the smell hits. This disgusting, foul Methodist fills my car, and it takes the breath right out of me. It makes my eyes water and my nose burn. It's like a biological weapon was just unleashed within my vehicle. I didn't know how to react, but I couldn't point out this elephant in the anus here. I just needed to pretend like I didn't smell anything. So I tried to act completely normal, but she was saying something to me and I couldn't make out what she was saying because it was as if a grenade had just gone off in this car. My ears were ringing, my vision was blurry, her voice was muffled, her words were gibberish. She sounded like a fucking adult character in the Charlie Brown cartoon. Nothing was making sense. For a moment, I had exited this corporeal world through a fart. But then the dust began to settle and I came back to reality. And I just asked her to repeat what she said, and she did. I don't remember what she said. All that was on my mind is, how can I get out of this? So I came up with this genius plan, this absolutely brilliant scheme. So I told her, hey, look, I forgot my dad told me he wanted to go bowling today. We already made the plan last week, and I can't leave him hanging like this, so we can go get lunch, but after that, I've got to skedaddle. And she wasn't buying it. She knew something was awry here. What bowling alley are you going to, she asks. As beads of sweat start streaming down my face, I start trying to connect words that could sound like a bowling alley. So I came up with Sky King Pins. It doesn't really sound like a bowling alley. It sounds like somewhere you'd go to watch airplanes race against each other, but it was the best I could do at the time. And she was okay with that. What pound of bowling ball do I use? 15. First one that came to mind. I usually use a 16. I throw the fucking lead down there. I throw fucking cannonballs when I go bowling, but 15 because it's the first number that popped into my head when she said that. Next question. How old's my dad? That one caught me off guard. I don't know why she asked me that. I don't understand the relevance, but still she asked, and the only thing I could think of was my dad wouldn't be happy if I told someone else's age. Then she asked me a couple other really stupid questions, but one that was a real tit slapper, one that I knew I'd have to be very careful with how I answered. She asked, okay, can we hang out after you're done bowling with your dad? I didn't know what to do. This was the Gordian knot that I'd need to cut here. How could I address this question? Because I don't like to hurt anyone's feelings. I don't like to make anyone feel bad. So I couldn't just say, no, of course we can't. I just had to tiptoe around it. So I came up with this really long-winded story, this very elaborate novel of what we were going to participate in after bowling. Oh, after we go get a few strikes, we were all going to go to my grandma's house where she's making her world-famous salmon sugar pancakes. I'm sorry, it's just got a whole lot of plans for the rest of the day I won't be able to. And she was disappointed but understood because, Grandma's whipping up her good old-fashioned dirt and soil crumpets or whatever the fuck I told her that she was making. I don't even remember what meal I said. But she understood. And then we got to the restaurant. We got our food. Things were winding down. Eating, there was nothing too out of the ordinary that happened there. Just general small talk until she got a phone call from her parents. They had called her to yell and scream at her because her grades were slipping. I could hear most of it. It was extremely uncomfortable to sit through. It sounded like she was being shouted at by a fucking drill sergeant. And then she started breaking down into tears in the restaurant. And I'm not really good when people are crying around me. I don't really know how to handle that. So I would just kind of, cheer up, sport. They don't know you. You're strong, and it's just school. Come on, champ. You don't let that affect you. We're having such a great day. Come on, just think of all the fun we're having here. You're farting and shitting in my car and stuff, and now you're crying in this restaurant. Come on, let's just get you home. It was just very uncomfortable. There's not even words I could use to describe just how awful that situation was for the both of us. Because I know it was shitty for her too. Because she's crying in front of this person she hardly knows. And that was pretty much the end of the date. I brought her home. The car ride was completely silent for the 15 minutes from the restaurant to her place. And then she just said, all right, see ya. And I was like, all right, take it easy. Peace out. I'm out ski. I'm bouncing. I said all of those to her, and then I went and left. And then I checked with her later to see if she was feeling better about that whole situation with her parents, and she said she was, so that's good. But yeah, that's the worst date I've ever had, and also pretty much my experience with Tinder summed up into one story. And yeah, that's it. See ya.